Knock, knock. It's Deven o'clock. And I want to thank y'all for dropping by on this Spin Dash Sunday, where hopefully everything works the way it's supposed to, because I'm trying stuff I didn't do before. I am simultaneously streaming on the YouTubes, totally out of the Bluetubes, so I didn't have time to test it. Hopefully those of y'all watching on the YouTube side are doing all right. I don't know why I pointed that way, like YouTube's over there. Maybe it is, who knows, but either way, I appreciate all of y'all dropping on by. For those of you who are not used to seeing me and don't know my whole deal, my name is Deven Mack, and I did the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog in Sonic Prime, as well as, I hope this works, as well as Orbot and Cubot, as well as Chaos Sonic. Various voices in various things. I stream every Go Fast Friday and Spin Dash Sunday, typically on the Twitch. Now sometimes maybe on the YouTubes also. We'll see. We'll figure it out. I'm also legally obligated to share my channel with a cartoon raccoon. There's nothing I can really do about that. So he pops up from time to time trying to make trouble for me, and that's my life. I don't have any say in the matter. But I am going to focus today on the task at hand. I am going to be reading, as some of y'all already know, the Sonic the Hedgehog 5-minute stories. 6 stories in one book. Whoa! And I did indeed find this in the bread aisle at my local Walmart. So I do believe that technically it also qualifies as bread. And who is anybody to tell me otherwise? So, I'm looking forward to getting into this. Typically I do a little bit of like chit chat, hey, what's up everybody, before I get into streaming, so, maybe we'll do a tiny little bit of that. Hey, I see some newcomers, such as I'm a Cool Dude 00. Thank you so much for dropping on by, and thank you Shaneimation for the follow. That is very, very much appreciated. Thank y'all for dropping on by. And yes, that is right. Grade's good to see you as well. The bread of reading, or the breed of reading. Words are weird. English is weird. English doesn't really make any sense. How come read and read are spelled the same way but pronounced differently if you feel like it? English, I don't get it. Nobody gets it. We just try our best. Let's see. Silent D says, now I need to find that at my Wally World. Look in the bread aisle. It's apparently everything can be found in the bread aisle. Let's see. Nevada's, hey, thank you so much for dropping by. Excited to have someone read me bedtime stories at 1 a.m. My goodness, late o'clock over there. So I take it that you are in the UK. And again, everybody who's got the late o'clock, I'm gonna not keep you waiting for too long. I'm gonna try to get into this very, very soon times. I also need to make sure I have queued up certain music songs that I'd like to play. So we're gonna see how this goes. You know what, why don't I read the back? I haven't read the back yet. So let's get that in there too. Faster than the speed of sound, Sonic is racing to new adventures. Fight Dr. Eggman and mind-controlling slime with Sonic the Hedgehog. This collection includes 6 action-packed stories about Sonic, Tails, Oxford, and all their friends that are perfect for reading on the go. Oh snap, Miles Dobson, thank you for being amazing once again. Homie, you ain't gotta go like that, yet you keep going like that. Miles Dobson, very, very cool dude, very, very talented actor out of the UK, but is now here in the Candyland, and very, very fun streamer in his own right. Thank you so much for dropping on by, as always. Let's see. Yo, Rodent Knight Squeak Squeak, thank you so much for dropping by. It is a pleasure to see you as always. David Nzengi says, I didn't get a birthday cake that I was supposed to choose. Oh boy, I'm sorry that things have been going so not great. That's no water, that's a lot. No power. How are you here? literally, how are you being here on this internet? But I appreciate you dropping on by. I hope things get a whole lot better a whole lot soon, because that's a lot of not good. But I appreciate you dropping on by despite that. And I hope that if it is still currently your birthday, if today is your birthday, I hope that there are still some good, okay, today is your birthday. I hope that there are good, happy moments waiting you in the near future. But yeah, that stuff's pretty rough, so I got mad respect to you for dealing with that, and wishing you the very best. And again, thank you for dropping by on your birthday. But I hope that there are some neat celebrations that can still be had. I'm a Cool Dude says, I'm an aspiring voice actor for my series, The Nutrition Friends. That sounds very wholesome. Any suggestions on how to improve myself and or getting myself known more? And I will say, yes, I do spend a lot of time answering questions about voice acting here, so if anybody ever has questions, feel free to ask them, although I'm gonna put a pause on that when I'm in the middle of story time, but I'll answer that real quick. So, as far as getting yourself known, I would say it always helps when you're working on your abilities, trying to improve your skill set. Because popularity isn't everything. I do not consider myself, I am not popular by any means. I have a bit of a following, but I've walked into rooms full of Sonic fans who have no idea who I am. Popularity isn't what's got me work. It's just been being known as somebody who can deliver the good work when they need it. So try to make it all about just studying not just other performers who are very successful and what makes them unique and what makes them stand out, but also just study people you meet in everyday life, anybody you hear talking, and if you're like, whoa, you know what? They've got an interesting way of saying stuff that really stands out. How can I take that and maybe put that into a character? Or maybe you'll have an instance where you can draw upon your actual real-life experiences and put them into a character. So there have definitely been times when, this has even happened for me in Sonic Prime, where I have thought about Nine the same way that I think about sometimes my little brother or students I've had that are really important to me. And if they're struggling with something, if they just don't get it, and I'm trying to connect with them, I really get onto that personal level, like, hey, buddy, let's have a talk, let's figure this out. So finding those ways to draw upon real experiences that can really help a lot too. I know I'm gonna wrap this up real quick because I know there's people who want to see story time as well, but again, happy to answer this. If you ever have a moment, just something that's really hits you emotionally, and it could be a bad way, it could be a good way, where you've got this incredible feeling of joy or some strong emotion, try to make a mental note of that. Oh, this is how I sound when something really good happens. I want to remember that. Or, oh, this is how I sound when I've gone through, maybe a difficult, maybe you're playing a game and you just keep losing over and over and you're getting demoralized and suddenly you start to sound like this. Make a mental note of that, and then when you're playing a character, you can draw that back. If you're playing a character who's suddenly losing at something or losing their confidence, you can draw upon that past. But definitely always remember that the acting should come first and everything else will follow. And if you're doing good acting, people will say, hey, I remember you. You did the good acting. I want to keep following your work, or I want to remember to use you in my project. That's the kind of stuff that'll kind of get it all going. So hopefully that helps out a little bit. And thank you for asking that question. All right, so with that said, why don't we get into our first story? And oh, Nevada says, I saw you put those mask voice resources in the Discord server. I'm glad you've been able to find things like that, and hopefully it proves to be very helpful. But please know I wish you the very best with that moving forward. All right, here we go. So we're going to start out with me changing the song to something that's maybe a little bit less. Please tell me that I didn't lose the playlist that I wanted to pull up. No, I didn't. We're going to change the song to something that is maybe a little bit more kind of spooky Halloween oriented, even though this is not a Halloween themed book. It easily could have been. I feel like this song goes a little bit more in that vibe. All right, so first story that we have is Night of the Unliving. I'm still not sure if I want to have the book facing you and try to read it off the screen. It's probably going to drive me crazy, so I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm going to give you a little peek at the picture, and then we're going to read this. All right, here we go. Night of the Unliving. The hero stood frozen in the eerie green light of the machine. The saucer-like monster hovered in the glade, but aside from the strange lights that pulsated from its dome head, the thing had simply hummed a low sound since appearing mysteriously outside the city.
Maybe it just wants to make friends,
said Big the cat. The gentle giant reached out a hand towards the saucer's body. Be careful, said Tails, hovering over the scene on the twin helicopter blades that gave him his name. You don't know what— Zang! It was too late. The moment Big touched the machine, an awful grinding noise emanated from within. The massive metal monster spun around and bore itself into the ground.
Submit or be destroyed,
called a hollow, angry voice from within. Well, I think that settles that. Amy ran up from the edge of the glade and called to her team. Big, Cream, let's give it a little flower power. Without a word, Big opened up his large bamboo umbrella and twirled it over his head. Amy and Cream the rabbit jumped on top, holding each other's hands and whipping up a furious spinning speed. 1, 2, 3, go! Amy called, then let go of Cream to shoot herself at the machine with full force. Her hammer swung in midair for a mighty blow, and then, clang! Amy bounced straight off the whirling body of the saucer. She hit the dirt and rolled to safety. But the machine continued its awful dig, sinking its body firmly into the earth.
Submit, submit, submit,
it called out in a droning tone that set the hero's hairs on end. It looks like the top may be vulnerable, yelled Tails over the noise. Try to crush its dome. Swoosh! In a split second, a blue blaze flew over their heads, nearly blowing the heroes down with its force. The spinning ball of fury shot towards the machine's dome like a bullet and struck it hard and true. The dome crumpled as the blue blur came into focus as Sonic the Hedgehog. Were you waiting long? Just kidding, I know you weren't, he said with a smirk and crouched to balance. Underneath him, the half-sunken saucer shivered and steamed.
Submit, submit, submit.
It wheezed before finally splitting wide open. With a wet, sickening sound, the metal body of the monster burst, shooting a torrent of sticky green slime all over Amy's team. Whoa! I almost choked myself up trying to get a very slimy sound going. There we go. Whoa! Said Tails as he zipped. I'm jumping voices so quickly. Whoa! Said Tails as he zipped high in the air to miss the green goo. Gross! Called Amy. I feel like I got sneezed on by a giant. Oh, my poor cheese! Said Cream, picking up her floating sidekick pal from where he was knocked to the ground.
Oh, I don't know,
said Big, sitting calmly in the squishy green slime.
It actually feels kind of nice.
Laughed Sonic. Sorry to say, but that's what happens when you're not the fastest thing alive. Without the robotic saucer body, all that was left of the machine was a tall metal spire. In its middle sat a large green meteor rock that continued to pulsate with strange light, even as it dripped the disgusting discharge. As we can see, there's some gooey slime. All right, next page. We'll have to contact a medical team to decontaminate you, Tails said. What voices am I doing? Tails said. Standard procedure.
Have fun waiting to get hosed off, said Sonic as he swung outside the slime radius with Tails' help. I've got more action to find instead of getting stuck in place. The next day, Sonic sped through town in search of some fun. Street after street, the scene was calm and quiet. The green saddle tank, thank you so much for the follow.
Hope I'm not missing other follows, but thank you.
Street after street, the scene was calm and quiet. No explosions or attacks or action of any kind, except at Cream and Cheese's house. Out front, the kindly rabbit and her partner were making a racket of clangs from a mountain of sheet metal. Cream struck a large wrench against the warp pile again and again. Sparks flew each time she struck, some jumping into Cheese's eyes, but neither of them seemed to care. Hey, Cream? Sonic said as he skidded into her driveway. Working on an art project? We are building the spear, said the rabbit without stopping. Right, the spear. Sonic didn't know exactly what to say. And you think a wrench is going to shape that metal up the way you want? Cream stopped her motion mid-swing. She pulled the tool down slowly and stared at it for a long moment. The quiet made Sonic uncomfortable. Perhaps you are right, she said at last. The wrench dropped with a thud, and Cream reached up her hands to grab the metal firmly. With surprising strength and an agonizing squeaking sound, the rabbit folded two pieces of strong metal together as though they were paper. She started to mold the shape and pile like clay. She started to mold and shape the pile like clay. Wow, said Sonic. Have you been working out? The little chow creature that... I've lost my place. For a second, I wanted to say chaos. No, it's chow. The little chow creature that followed Cream everywhere floated up to Sonic's nose. Chow! Cream explained to Sonic that this meant they had been strengthened and wanted Sonic to join them. I've got somewhere else to be, Sonic said and sped away before he got too close. The strange encounter drove Sonic across the city to Amy's home. If anyone knew what was going on with those two, it would be their best friend. But when Sonic arrived, Amy didn't charge out to greet him. Amy! Anyone home? Sonic called into the curiously open door. When no one answered, he walked in carefully, in case there was an ambush waiting. But what he found was almost too boring. Amy and a room of maps. This planet has so many people on it, she said without looking up. Amy leaned over a massive map of the planet. I'm a cool dude. Oh, thank you for the follow. Pinned on every wall were charts of country borders and city streets. She was totally absorbed. Planning a trip? Sonic asked and forced a flat chuckle. The trip is over, she said slowly. All that's left now is to... Achoo! Amy sneezed, covering her mouth with her hand, but Sonic noticed that her hands were now covered in green slime. Gross! Said Sonic. And, oh my goodness, thank you so much for the bitty booze. Alan Gibbons says, Hey Deven, I was wondering, what is your favorite Sonic voice actor from the games? Ryan Drummond, Jason Griffith, or Roger the Craigsmith?
They are all my blue brothers, and I do not have any particular preference. I think all of them are amazing. All of them bring different things to the table. I can't even say for sure if there's one who influenced me the most. I think I would probably say it's Roger because I'd watched the most of Sonic Boom leading into actually playing the role. But I think that they are all fantastic. We are all brothers, so I don't really make it about who's better. They're all great, and they've all been incredibly kind to me. Alright, so I was at...
Amy! I was at Amy. Amy just looked at him with an empty stare. She slowly reached out her slime-covered hands. It's fine, she said. Touch it and you'll see. In a blur, Sonic was gone again, roaming the streets for answers to whatever had happened to his friends. No matter how fast he ran, no answers came. Then it hit him. The slime! The crash site must hold the answers to what was happening. Within seconds, Sonic was back on the outskirts of town and rushing into the quiet glade. What met him there was another friend, Or was it? Big sat as still as a stone in the blackened pit that was the saucer.
I am reading this all wrong. Just so you know, when we are actually recording cartoons, everything is perfect all the time, forever. No, it's not. No, it's not. There's a billion takes of everything before we get it right. And you just don't hear what has gone wrong because they cut it out. It's like it never existed. Let's try that again. Take 2, I'll say.
Big sat still as stone in the blackened pit that the saucer had dug. While his back was to Sonic, it was clear the large purple cat was staring up at the dented meteorite that still glowed an eerie shade of green. "Hey, pal," Sonic called, trying to sound normal. "Fish ain't biting today?"
Fish?
Big finally said.
No, we are busy.
He rose slowly like a sleeping giant and lurched around. His eyes had turned a bright green, and streams of green goo dripped down them to his whiskers.
To understand us,
Said the cat slowly.
all you have to do is submit.
Creepy.
They couldn't be talked to, they couldn't be fought, and they most definitely couldn't be touched. Sonic sprinted in a panic, thinking how he might save his pals. "Tails!" Sonic burst into his friend's lab. "We need to do something! That Space Probe robot has infected Amy, Big, Cream, and Cheese with some kind of virus!" "But that's not possible," said Tails. "The medical team checked the entire site. There is no organic matter in that robot. Even the green slime was just some kind of insulation."
And also, here's Creepy Big. But where's Froggy?
"I don't care what you call it. It did a number on our friends, and now they're acting like some kind of creepy crawlies," said Sonic. He paced the room. "What can we do?" "Well, I'm running tests on this sliver of meteorite," Tails said as he pulled back a shelf to reveal a 2-inch chip of the rock.
Not Dwayne Johnson.
Sonic stopped Dwayne
in his tracks. I've broken my own brain.
Sonic stopped dead in his tracks when he saw the green glare of the fragment. "Tails, you didn't touch it, did you?" "Of course not," said the fox. "There's still a chance a metal like this could be highly volatile, so I took every precaution extracting it from the crash." "Well, I've got to figure out what it was, and fast," said Sonic. He looked out at the streets from the window. In the distance, he thought he could see Cream slowly trudging along with a massive metal spike slung over her shoulder. "That's easier said than done," said Tails. "I'm good, but I'm no expert in cosmic metallurgy. That's a new word for me. I'm still working it out. I'm afraid we're just gonna have to wait until I can run every test I know." But in the street, people were starting to scream. Cream began using her flying ability with her ears to spread slime all over the town. People were getting infected by the green slime and slowly turning into a diseased mob, wandering around in slow motion as Tails and Sonic watched in horror. "Tails," he said, "if there's one thing I'm bad at, it's waiting." The evening became a nightmare in slow motion. Sonic left Tails locked up in the lab, and he hit the town at top speed, warning anyone and everyone to avoid the sick. But no matter how fast Sonic ran, he was always too late. The people of the city were shambling through the streets. Their heads hung low, and their eyes glowed with sticky green slime. Yet, despite their lethargic motions, everyone's strength seemed to have increased tenfold. They tore up the street lamps and stop signs and mailboxes. Anything metal was ripped up, crunched together, and carried away by the groaning masses. "Submit," they droned on as each new piece of steel was dragged away. "Submit!"
Oh, snap! We've even got... we have got Bean the Dynamite. And, I'm forgetting his name right now, and I'm very sad. Polar Bear! You're cool! Characters that people recognize, please name them if you know them. Alright, next page. Bark the Polar Bear, thank you so much.
They're building something, Sonic said as he zipped along the alleys of the city undetected. Suddenly, a city bus landed in the street ahead of Sonic with an epic boom. He skidded hard to avoid hitting it. When Sonic looked up, he saw Big lumbering toward him.
Why does it run from us?
Big said.
We will not hurt it.
Sonic spun to run the other way, only to see Cream and Cheese approaching from across the street.
Ciao?
Said Cheese in a hollow voice.
I'll try a more hollow voice.
Ciao.
There we go. Sonic backed up against the wall of a building, only to see Amy slinking along the curb towards him. Her face was an eerie green mask.
Why can't it realize that it must submit?
She said, raising a hand.
Or be destroyed!
Sonic sprinted through a small opening between two of them, and he raced away as he looked back at an army of droning people with glowing green eyes. "They're right behind me, Tails!" said Sonic as he slid into the lab. The fox pulled an emergency lever, or lever depending on where you're from. The windows and doors of the lab were soon covered by metal doors 4 feet thick.
I built this in case Eggman ever attacked, but it should hold them back for now,
he said. "But what are we going to do about them? They're everywhere!" Tails sat at his workshop bench and rubbed his eyes.
I have an idea,
he said as a schematic of the saucer machine lit up on a screen behind him.
The green meteorite is more than a mere power source. It has a mind of its own.
Outside, the army of the infected had reached Tails' lab and began scratching at the metal walls. Scratch, scratch, scratch. "So it's some kind of alien invader?" asked Sonic as the sound grew louder. "Scratch, scratch, scratch."
Not exactly. This thing isn't living or dead,
Tails said in awe.
It's more like a computer than anything else, sailing through space on a makeshift craft for thousands of years. It's like a spear thrown into the sky that never came down. A spear with a simple, primitive program driving it to take over all it comes into contact with.
"So if it's not alive or dead, how do we stop it?" said Sonic as the scritch, scritch, scritch seemed to crawl up his spine.
I built this amplifier,
Tails said, holding up a large circuit board brimming with wires.
It's attuned to the meteorite's unique frequency. I've used it to speak to the fragment.
And? Sonic clenched his teeth.
It's amazing, really,
said Tails as he stared into the green fragment, encased in a glass container.
Just imagine, traveling the cold of space for millennia. It's slower than us, but so much more patient. We can't even begin to understand what it can do, how it can communicate, through touch and transmission, and even by sight. And once we amplify it fully, everyone will understand.
Scritch, scritch, scritch. Tails began rubbing his nails against the glass slowly.
Oh my. Well, he doesn't look as unsettling in this picture. Okay, next page.
Buddy, what are you talking about? Sonic said as he reeled back in horror. Tails turned to his friend as 2 thin green tears ran down his face.
Don't fight us anymore, Sonic,
he said.
We've waited this long. We will take you eventually, and it's so much nicer once you submit.
With a slow squeeze, the fox shattered the glass container, grasped the meteorite fragment in his hand, and slammed down hard on the security switch. Scritch, scratch, scroom! In an agonizing instant, endless streams of green arms scratched their way into the raising doors and lunged at Sonic. Sonic swooped through the lab and stole away Tails' amplifier device. Within seconds, he slipped through a rare, unclogged window and sprinted for the hills. "They need this thing to complete whatever they've got planned," said Sonic as he ran. "But what can I do that doesn't just slow them down?" Fortunately for Sonic, Tails had prepared a memo that he now noticed was attached to the amplifier, telling him exactly what he needed to do. And here's Sonic, me, running very fast, with the amplifier that looks like a megaphone. Amy, Tails, and the rest of the infected wandered their way to the crash site and handed their metal over to Big. Twice as strong as the others, he molded their collection around the meteorite spire to create one massive broadcast tower. And here it is.
We have found the path,
Big said in a robotic tone.
We will send the signal home and call the great meteor here,
said Cream, staring up at the tower.
and soon the entire planet will submit to us,
said Amy. Or be destroyed, called Sonic. He stood on a branch high above the crowd with the amplifier in his hands, and they turned their heads slowly in unison to look at him.
Do you understand now,
called Tails.
that we can wait forever to win?
I've accepted the reality, said Sonic, so I figured I might as well speed things up. He leaped from the tree, holding Tails' amplifier above his head, and landed in the green crowd. Their hands were all over him as they passed Sonic across the glade. Each new touch rubbed him in slime, and he soon started to hear a voice in his head. Submit, it whispered. Join us and be strong in the cold stillness of time. By the time Sonic had been passed to the metal tower, his eyes were bleary with the green light. Its power coated his brain, overriding any impulse that was his own. It would be easy to give in, but his mind raced with a plan. This, Sonic said slowly, handing forward the device. This will spread our message across the stars. Big the Cat lifted Sonic up, and the Hedgehog pressed the amplifier onto the tower just above the glowing green meteorite. The crowd swayed in excitement. Sonic felt as if his brain was drowning. Did he really want to do this? Did he want to submit the power to the unliving rock? His hands attached to the wires of Tails' creation to the tower slowly. His fingers ran over its dials, sticking on the buttons. Finally, it was ready. The Cookie Dude 56 thank you for the follow. I'm sorry, said Sonic as he flipped a switch on, and then his vision erupted in fire. The world came into focus as the light of day stung Sonic's eyes. He was in a hospital bed, surrounded by... Tails! Amy! Big! Sonic cried as he kicked off the covers.
It's okay, Sonic, said Amy. We're cured.
He relaxed and sunk into the bed. So, it worked?
I'm glad that you found my memo,
said Tails.
Overloading the amplifier created a wicked feedback loop. The meteorite's power was never meant to pump out that much info that quickly.
Gotta move fast. Sonic laughed to himself. But was anyone hurt?
Just you, pal,
said Tails.
When the machine overloaded, it sparked and caught fire in your hands. Luckily, the feedback was enough to burn the program out of everyone's system and melt down the tower.
Sonic looked down at his hands. They were fully wrapped in clean white gauze and throbbing in pain. Will I be okay? He asked.
You will make a full recovery,
said Big.
All it will take is time and patience.
Ugh, said Sonic. If there's one thing I'm bad at, it's waiting. The end.
And that was... I don't even remember the name of the story. That was definitely not 5 minutes. That was way more than 5 minutes. This book is a lie. It's more than 5 minutes. That was Night of the Unliving. And I'm gonna read more stories, but I hope that y'all enjoy that. And oh my goodness, Cookie Dude 56, thank you so much for...
Thank you so much for subscribing with Prime.
Your subscription is very, very much appreciated. And yeah, I'm very curious as to how long that was. It definitely felt like book is a liar. That's a 20-minute read. I don't know, but I'll check it out later. Starlit Sky 97, thank you so much for the follow. Very, very much appreciated. Pizarra 88 says, Is Aaron evil now? Precious little Aaron Ninjago who did absolutely nothing wrong and just wants to find his parents? There's absolutely nothing wrong with what Aaron has done. Aaron is a wonderful good boy who just wants to make pies for everybody and find his parents, and there's nothing wrong with that. Alright, I'm going to... Yeah, you are so right though, Nova. I'm gonna check in on YouTube chat because I've not done a good job. This is my first time doing the YouTube thing at the same time. But yes, thank you so much, Doom Dog, Lazy, Springster, Circuit, Julius Breaker. All y'all dropping by. Please know I very, very much appreciate it. Okay, so Aaron is having a similar story to Anakin Skywalker in the prequels trilogy. You know? You might be onto something there. Hopefully Aaron stays away from large pits of lava and fire. No spoilers. I don't even remember what happens next. I legitimately don't even remember, so we're gonna find out together. Thank you so much for the follow, Pizarra88. That is very, very much appreciated. And hey, Maurice. My name is spelled with 2 E's. Just gotta always get that out there. But I appreciate you dropping on by. How was the footy ball? Has the footy ball started already? Sometimes I watch the Grey Cup, but not this year. As you can see, I had Sonic things. I had very important Sonic things to do. Can I do Shadow voice? I have attempted it before. I mean, Ian is that dude, though. There's so many amazing Shadow voice actors who do it way better than me. But I'm not gonna do it on request because just out of respect for my homies, if it comes up in the book, I will do it. But if you want to hear me do it, I've done it when I did my playthrough of the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, which if you, you know what, I'll find the link. But yes, that is another instance where I will be doing the voices of characters who are not mine, which is not typically a thing that I like to do. Alright. There's that, if you would like to see my playthrough of the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog and hear me do various other character voices. Okay, so let's go over to our next story. And this one is called Spook Forest. Alright, so am I going to see Sonic 3 next month? Oh, no doubt. I'm gonna try to see it day one if I can. Because I got a movie theater 10 minutes walking distance away from me. So, yeah, that is happening so fast. Oh, yes. Yo, Cherina, La Ferrina, and Shadow Sylveon. It's good to see y'all as well. Oh, snap. Green Saddle Tank got to meet Ian the Hanlon at Sonic Expo. That is way, way cool. What a awesomely wholesome, just down-to-earth guy he is. Because he's a small-town dude. He's from way out east in the Maritimes. Yeah, he's just a really, really humble, down-to-earth good boy. And I'm glad to see him getting the attention that he so greatly deserves. Dude has been in the game for a minute. And was also my co-star on Angry Birds Summer Madness. He was Red, and I was Chuck. All right, with all that said, let us get over to Spook Forest. All right. The smoke of the campfire. Will I do the same voice? No, I'm gonna narrate it this time more as me. I'm not gonna do the Vincent Price, Maurice LaMarche, Orson Welles, the brain. I'm just gonna be me this time. Spook Forest. The smoke of the campfire rose up in the branches of the forest like a ghostly apparition. Sonic the Hedgehog leaned into the popping of the burning logs, lifting his hands to make spidery shadows across his friends' faces. And the disembodied hand reached up, he said, and pushed the camper off the cliff and into oblivion! Shouted the heroes around the fire before breaking into laughter. Trying to do multiple voices at once is the worst idea. For 2 nights, Team Sonic had hosted their allies from the team called Chaotix to sleep out under the stars in the ancient forest. I should probably take a drink for the first time before I actually go further. And that is right. Maurice LaMarche, I know he was in Sonic Underground. I don't know if he was in other Sonics, but I know he was in there. All right. And, I'll just pick it back up from the last sentence. For 2 nights, Team Sonic had hosted their allies from the team called Chaotix to sleep out under the stars in the ancient forest. And what was a good camp out without scary stories?
That one was good, but I don't think anything could top Vector's story about the mummy DJ,
said Charmy B as he buzzed around the fire. I love Charmy. What a good boy.
Nah, SBO's story about the invisible truck driver scared me silly,
said Vector the Crocodile, also one of my favorites, his headphones for once turned off for some peace and quiet. Don't you mean, called a voice from the edge of the gathering, Bubba the Unseen? SBO the Chameleon faded into sight just behind his croc pal with his fingers forming the hook hands of the spectral trucker. Also, here's a fun little campfire picture. You guys are a bunch of dopes, called Knuckles the Echidna from a stump away from the campfire. Though Sonic had invited his team along to help build friendships between the 2 groups of heroes, the prickly Knuckles spent most of the weekend with his arms crossed. Come on, Knuck, Sonic called as he plucked a hot dog off a stick. Get into the spirit of a spooky evening. Knuckles stomped across to the others with a cross look. There ain't no such thing as spooks or ghouls or ghosts. We've got enough problems in this world fighting off Eggman's robots, alien invaders, and creatures from beyond the universe. There's no reason to drum up kids' tales about graveyard spirits on top of that.
Now, Knuckles, said Tails. Some say that ghost stories represent a battle within ourselves that we haven't won yet. You could learn something from them.
That's bunk, said Knuckles as he crossed his arms again. You know what I think, said Sonic with a mischievous grin. I think Knuckles has got an old school case of the willies. He's afraid of things that go boo in the night.
Yeah,
laughed Vector.
Fearless leader maybe ain't so fearless after all. Ha ha ha.
With that, Knuckles' eyes went wide with a fury. Afraid? I'm the bravest, toughest thing any of you chumps has ever seen, and I'll prove it. He stormed off into the darkness. Sonic's face dropped as his friends walked away. Aw, come on, Knuckles, he called. I didn't mean anything by it. But the Echidna was already far off in the distance. Don't worry, Sonic, said SBO. That loner just needs to blow off some steam. Anyway, what could hurt him out here? I'm actually not super familiar with SBO's voice, even though I know he's been voiced by Matt Mercer. I just feel like I'm getting too close to a shadow voice. I don't know, but that's what I'm going with. I know he's a ninja. Sounds very ninja-y. In the blackness of the forest, good word, in the blackness of the forest, Knuckles let out his anger on the silent trees. Afraid? What a bunch of baloney, he said, and swiped his fist against the trunk of an old oak tree. A chunk of wood and bark went flying as his punch left a jagged scar. Look at that! There's nothing I can't fight my way out of. Then, in the silence of the forest, Knuckles heard a sharp crack, followed by a thundering thump. What the? He spun around, but saw nothing. Again, a painful cracking sound echoed across the night, followed by an earth-shaking crash. Who goes there? He cried out. Show yourself, you cowards! Just then, a sound like breaking bones assaulted Knuckles' ears, and he turned, realizing that it was the shattering of the tree's roots that caused it. Before he could think,
The mighty trunk before him shivered and sunk into the ground with a violent boom. The forest floor shook, and Knuckles was knocked to the ground.
How in the world did that happen?
He said, jumping to his feet. As he looked closer, he heard a deep grinding noise, and a long red metal tail slithered out of sight.
It's Dr. Eggman! He built some kind of new machine and it's digging its way towards Sonic, Tails, and the Chaotix!
Knuckles raced on his feet in the direction of the Robo-Digger. Out ahead of him, every few minutes, another tree would shiver, crack, and get swallowed whole into the earth. As he ran through the path of destruction, Knuckles realized he'd been turned around during the chase.
Isn't it just like the gang to go and get lost when I'm trying to help them?
He said. Then, in the distance, a massive tree rose up into Knuckles' vision. He reached so high into the sky that it felt like the branches might grab onto the moon and not let go. Its trunk was as thick as a building, with bumps and grooves all along it that looked almost like sad, agonized faces. At its base, the tree's roots bubbled up above the earth and made a tangled web of tripwires for 50 yards all around. As he approached it, Knuckles felt this was less a tree and more some kind of massive, living monster. Behind him, he heard another crack and rumble.
You're not getting this tree, Eggman,
said Knuckles.
Not today.
The echidna sprinted away from the tree and directly towards danger. Nearly 200 yards out, he felt the vibrations of the metal monster approaching. He jumped high in the air and punched down into the ground with epic force, sending shockwaves through the dirt. A moment later, Knuckles could hear the whirring gears of the machine in the distance. It was retreating.
I've kept it at bay for now,
he said,
but if I don't...
Before he could finish the thought, the ground beneath him began to rumble. Knuckles' feet sank into the dirt as the forest floor began to swirl around him like a whirlpool, and then it opened up and swallowed him whole, pulling him deep down into the ground like a hand from beyond the grave. Back at the campsite, the fire had burned down low into a pile of glowing embers. Sonic and Tails sat up in their sleeping bags talking.
You think Knuckles is all right?
Sonic said.
You know he's always been a lone wolf, or, a lone echidna,
said Tails.
I'm sure he'll show up when he's ready.
I know, Sonic sighed. I just felt bad. This was supposed to be fun. I didn't bring us here to fight.
He'll get over it, Sonic,
the fox yawned.
It's not like Knuckles hasn't been known to sling a few cheap shots in his day. Just enjoy the peace and quiet.
And Pizarra said, I can read. Pizarra 88, yes, I am not a huge Dragon Ball fan, but I've had my times when I was huge into it. Piccolo is my guy.
Just then, the forest all around them began to ring with a horrible cracking sound. Ancient wood turned to splinters to the left, to the right, everywhere, and the ground began to shake and tilt on the edges of the clearing.
Whoa, what the heck is happening?
Cried Charmy as he flew down from the tree he'd been snoozing in. We're being attacked, said SBO.
Snored Vector, on the ground with his noise-canceling headphones pumping jams into his ears.
Get him up, said Sonic. Everyone form a circle. The combined team stood shoulder to shoulder around the rock-protected fire pit. Suddenly, the trees on the edges of the clearing were sucked into the ground. The heroes' heads snapped all around, but they still couldn't see who was behind it all.
Is it a ghost?
Asked Charmy. I'm betting it's more like a ghoul, named Eggman, said Sonic. In that very moment, a metal dome burst forth from beneath the fire pit. Dr. Eggman rose from the ground in a gargantuan monster called the Egg Dragoon. Since the heroes last saw this vile machine, the doctor had fitted it with several drills and worm-like arms that made it capable of burrowing deep within the ground. As it broke out into the moonlight, the Dragoon sent dirt, embers, and the two teams flying through the air in all directions. And there's that eerie silhouette.
What brilliant luck!
Laughed Eggman.
I had hoped to strip this forest of its trees in secret so I could build a new robot factory, but I never dreamed I'd be able to bury you in the process.
Sonic stood up and faced his enemy, fists clenched.
I'd like to see you try, Baldy.
Cackled the scientist.
Talk is cheap, hedgehog. Even you can't defeat an entire forest.
As the black dirt shook off the back of the Egg Dragoon, the machine lifted an entire rack of fallen trees on its back, which Eggman could now use as weapons. I suppose that was so dramatic that my playlist couldn't even handle it anymore. Crack! The machine launched one trunk at a shaky Vector and Espio, rolling them onto their backs. Swack! Another giant log swung through the air at Charmy and Tails, swatting them down like flies. Thunk! A third tree careened towards Sonic. The hyper-fast hedgehog dodged the attack just in time. But with this kind of firepower, even Sonic started to worry that Eggman had finally won the day. Meanwhile, deep within the earth, Knuckles fought to dig his way out. Digging was one of Knuckles' specialties, but for some reason, he couldn't seem to find his bearings.
Which way is up already?
He yelled as he sank deeper and deeper into the darkness. And there's, the Egg Dragoon, as Sonic looking pretty chill in that moment, but clearly not for long. With his hands furiously clawing at the earth in front of him, Knuckles suddenly broke through into an empty space. He tumbled forward in an empty, windless hole and landed in the middle of a pitch-black tunnel. As he stood up, Knuckles saw that the tunnel was round. Roots hung from the ceiling like stalactites in a cave. Unfortunately, he was not alone. "Cutter!" came a whisper from deep in the darkness. "Slasher! Ripper!" The words were spit like an accusation.
Whoever you are, come out, Knuckles called. I've had a bad night, and I'm in the mood to punch something.
Like the flicker of a candle, a soft white light appeared down the tunnel and floated closer and closer. All the while, its tiny voice shrieked, "Cutter! Slasher! Ripper!" Knuckles squinted into the darkness, and he finally saw it. A small floating body with wavering arms and a large lumpy head. The creature's face was twisted like the knots of a tree trunk, with black eyes and a mouth twisted into a horrible gaping hole. It looked like a ghost. "Slasher! Biter! Breaker!" It called to him and began to swoop and swing around his head.
"Stop it!" cried Knuckles. "Stop saying that stuff!"
He swung his arms wildly about, but they never seemed to connect. Finally, the glowing creature floated firmly in front of Knuckles, and he punched it as hard as he could. But his fists went straight through. All he could feel was bitterly cold air as he sunk his hand into the ground. And with that, the spook flew away.
"Come back here!"
Knuckles cried and ran after it. All along the way, he punched and kicked at the dirt. But it did no good. "It's no use!" No, that's not in the book. Eventually, Knuckles came to a dead end, and the spook hung there, staring right through him. "The cutter must be judged." Oh. "The cutter must be judged," it hissed. "Take it to the queen." From out of the walls, tiny worm-like lights emerged and sunk themselves into Knuckles' skin. They flowed in and out of his face, and he could feel them sliding through his cheeks like icy needles.
"Stop it! Stop it!"
he cried, but the worm seemed to weaken him, and a pair of roots reached down from above and pulled Knuckles into the dirt. He went limp, and the earth carried him along for what felt like ages. Knuckles' heart pumped with pure fear until the ground seemed to belch him up into another dirt cavern. This one was lit all around by glowing spooks who hung in a massive network from roots along the dome ceiling. As Knuckles stood up and shivered, he saw the center of the root system made a kind of throne upon which sat a spook that was as big as he was. She had a long, slender face, but her eyes were deeper and blacker than anything he had ever seen.
While she sat lightly in the throne, strands of ethereal light hung off her like cobwebs and connected back up into the earth. "This is not the one we fight," said the Queen Spook.
You got that right. It's Eggman you want.
"But," said the Queen, "this one does not respect our kind."
What do you mean?
Knuckles said. She floated down to his level, the strands of her body stretching all the way back to the throne. When the Queen reached out and plunged her ghostly fist straight into Knuckles' heart, in an instant, he felt it all. These were the spirits of the forest, long forgotten by man, and the one he met in the tunnel was a young spirit, barely 5 decades old, who took root in the tree he had punched during his fit of anger.
You all feel it,
Knuckles said.
and you're all dying. While Eggman tears up the forest, the giant tree at its heart gets weaker and weaker.
"Not just him," said the Queen. "You have been cutting and chopping this ancient forest for years. Eggman has just accelerated a long, slow, inevitable end." Knuckles' eyes opened wide with anger.
I'm sorry, he said. I'll stop him. With your help, I'll stop it all.
Across the forest, Eggman had Sonic and his friends on their last legs. Pink Ninja 743, thank you so much for the follow. His Egg Dragoon stomped and slashed his way through the forest after them. "Hit him head on!" called Sonic. Vector chomped hard at the Dragoon's feet to no effect. Espio began throwing kunai, but they were thwarted by a swinging trunk. Tails and Charmy flew along and around Eggman's cockpit, but couldn't get close enough to land a blow.
The forest can't take much more of this,
called Vector.
and neither can we.
Give up, you weak little beasties!
Cried Eggman with a maniacal grin.
Nothing can get in my way now!
In the distance, Sonic could see a giant ancient tree rise above their heads. Its branches swayed in the starlight, as if the tree knew what was coming for it. With a mighty crash, the Dragoon tossed another massive tree to the ground, toppling the team with the force of its landing. Eggman powered on toward the old tree. But just then, the ground began to shake. Sonic and the team craned their necks to see what was happening, just as the earth opened up to let Knuckles rise from within.
This stops now!
Cried the Echidna with fury.
Ha! Laughed Dr. Eggman. Does a spiny little bully think he really has the power to stop me? Not only can I stop you,
Knuckles said,
but I don't even need to touch you to do it.
Knuckles raised his hands, and from underneath him, an army of ghost lights rose up from the ground and swirled all around him. They flew at Eggman as 1,000 tiny voices screamed, "Cutter! Slasher! Ripper! Cutter! Slasher! Ripper!" The evil doctor's eyes went wild as strands of spectral energy wormed their way through the cockpit and began to crawl in and out of his face. The spirits howled and twisted their features in terrifying shapes. They surrounded him completely, and all Eggman could do was swat at nothing.
Get away! Get away! Oh, what madness is this?
He cried and blasted open the hatch. Eggman tried to crawl to safety, but the spirits were unrelenting. He slipped and fell off the top of the Dragoon, and in midair, the long, finger-like branches of the old tree reached out and plucked him like a disembodied hand. The tree grasped the villain firmly, then flung him across the forest and into oblivion. With that, the spirits calmed.
They floated gently down towards Knuckles, where one small spirit in particular floated just above his eyes.
Thank you, he said. I'll keep fighting.
And then they rose up into the branches of the ancient tree and winked away like dying campfire embers.
That, said Tails, is gonna make for one awesome ghost story.
As dawn broke over the forest, Sonic and Knuckles stood near the edge of the giant tree's root system.
The old girl looks pretty good, said Sonic. Eggman did damage, but at least he didn't destroy her.
Not yet, said Knuckles. But every day we let this world abuse a forest like this, we bring it closer to extinction. I wish you could have felt what I did when I met the Queen of the Spirits, Sonic.
If I didn't know you better, Knuckles, I'd say you sound scared right now.
I'm not scared, Sonic, he said. I'm haunted.
The end. Wow, that's that got dark. That got really dark. But wow, I hope you enjoyed that one. That was why do I keep forgetting the names? That was Spook Forest. And I'm gonna read probably one more for this stream. Since there is 6, I'll save the other 3 for next time. But I'm gonna let you choose. I'm gonna let you choose which one I read next. So we can do a little bit of chit chat while I prepare the poll, where you will be able to vote. If you are on the Twitch link, this is only available on the Twitch link. So I guess I'm gonna have to put this in the live stream chat if you want to vote, because I don't have that set up. Hop on over here, and I'm gonna trigger the voting so you can choose which story I'm going to read next. And I'm gonna leave that up for 5 minutes. So, which one are we going to read? Are we going to read Not So Fantastic Journey? Oh man, this is a bad time to say that I type very slow. Okay. Not So Fantastic Journey. Fighting Shadow. Oh boy. Well, I think we already know who won. Doppelganger. Oh, I didn't know this song was in the playlist. Hello. Alright. Doppelganger, which, is that going to involve me being a second Sonic? And then the other one is, well, I feel like this one's actually got a fair shot. Hunt of, it's even slower because I'm trying to type with one hand. Hunt of the Werehog. We're gonna leave that up for 5 minutes. And in the meantime, and there goes the poll. In the meantime, we're gonna do some chitty chat. If anybody's got any questions for me about voice acting, about me, about my connection to Sonic, I will try my best to answer it. I'm not gonna get too personal, and I will never ever give an answer to who is my favorite voice actor of blank, because once again, these are all my Blue brothers, my castmates. We're all part of the Sonic family, so I got much love for all those talented peoples. Pink Knight says, I liked your voices for your Sonic reading. Your voice was and is still so cute, especially when you voice other characters. Thank you so much. I figured the style that's closer more to my natural tone would be a little bit more relaxing. I feel like I'm gonna step away from the creepiness for now, but I'm glad you enjoyed that. I wonder I wonder what's going to win this poll. I wonder. Yeah, I was not expecting Undefeatable to be on this playlist. I thought we were gonna be pre-Frontiers, but I guess not. I'm digging it though. I'm hanging on. Well, now that it's over, way to go me. Way to go me. How would Sonic feel if he got to meet Donald Duck? Well, I suppose if he were in Sonic's world, he would be called Donald the Duck. Why did I say Donic? He could also maybe get changed enough and become a version of Sonic and be called Donic as well, I guess. Wow. I wonder if he would need, you know what? I could see Sonic saying, hey, Tails, can you build like a translator to, like, I'm having a hard time translating duck here. Can I get some help? Yeah, he'd have a tough time understanding him, but I'm sure he would still find his outfit pretty cool, because I mean, there's blue in there. Do I think Aaron will finally win next year's pie baking contest? You know what? If maybe one of the things, you know, no spoilers, but who knows? Maybe Lord Roz knows a really good secret pie recipe, on top of knowing possibly where Aaron's parents are. So if he can get that, you know, forbidden top secret pie recipe, I think maybe he will finally be able to defeat Grabbarg, who is the French snail chef. As I do my terrible accent, I don't know if I'm trying to do Quebecois Francais or the more Parisian from Le France. I don't know what accent I'm doing. But yeah, maybe I would love to see him defeat Grabbarg someday, because Grabbarg is the snootiest jerk, and I am not a big fan of him. Let's see. Pirate pie. You know what? I'm sure that there are some pirate pie recipes I would expect as well. Probably very salty, I would assume. You should come to Sonic Expo next year. I would love to make that happen. We'll see. It's not out of the question. Discussions have been had. Generally, I'm not gonna go out to a convention that's very far from me unless it's as a guest, but I would definitely love to be there. And if it is in the cards, I would, and hopefully it is. I would love to be there, and I would love to meet everybody there. But I am very glad. I could not be happier for Ian Hanlon getting to go there, because he is awesome. He got to meet a whole bunch of other Shadows. Couldn't be happier for him. Rodent Knight Whisker, thank you so much for dropping on by. Always such a joy to have you here. I appreciate the energy, the positivity that you bring to whatever environment you are in. Have yourself a wonderful night. You wonderful night. Squeak squeak. All right, we are nearing the end of the poll. Who is our winner? Who has won? You know what? Yo, Lego DJ, thank you so much for dropping by. I hope you was doing well. Appreciate you dropping by on this Spin Dash Sunday. And Alyssa, it's good to see you too. And Ronche Boy, thank you so much for dropping by, everybody. Circuit Julius Breaker asks, which Sonic voice actor did you take inspiration from the most when finding your voice for Sonic? I would probably say most of my comedic influence does come from Roger the Craig Smith. I did watch Sonic Boom a lot. Like, I already enjoyed the show years before I was working on Sonic stuff, but that's what I immediately went back and watched because it's supposed to be within the same canon. It's the same Sonic, so I do want to have qualities from him. But I would be hard pressed to deny that there's also some Ryan the Drummond and Jason the Griffith in there. In the case of Jason Griffith, he was probably the one that I heard the least of. But although maybe not, because I still had "You're Too Slow" lodged into my brain just from Brawl alone. But I did not play a lot of Sonic games from that era. Prior to being cast in the role, the Sonic game that I had played the most of was Sonic Adventure 2, so some of those lines stuck with me. The one that I definitely grew up with, though,
I grew up with Jaleel White's Sonic, but he's got such a different placement and accent that I can't really
meld his into the other ones unless I just decide I'm gonna take a very particular line and make that one go more in that path. So every time I would say chili dogs, I would try to throw in a little bit of Jaleel's. And of course, when I got to, after auditioning for it, when I got to play the role of
Chaos Sonic, I made Chaos Sonic sound a lot like Jaleel White.
Oh my goodness, Meta, thank you so much for that raid with a party of 13. Welcome, welcome everybody. Meta, I hope that you had a wonderful stream. Feel free to, if you are so inclined, to go grab yourself a drink, grab yourself a snack, take care of yourself. But I am happy to have you here all the same. And, oh, I'm getting advertisements. I didn't know that would happen. Okay, we're gonna mute that for a little while. Thank you so much. What were you streaming? What were you playing? I hope you had a great time with it. And for those of you who do not know me, my name is Deven Mack, and I did the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog in Sonic Prime, as well as Orbot and Cubot, as well as Chaos Sonic. Various characters in various things, including Chef in Total Drama Island, the reboot, as well as Aaron in Ninjago, Dragon's Rising, and the Skull Sorcerer, who also sounds a whole lot like Devil Mario from Power Star. So yes, I'm all over. But it's great to have you dropping on by. I stream every Go Fast Friday and Spin Dash Sunday, and I'm legally forced to share this stream with a certain raccoon VTuber. Oh my goodness, we've got another raid. I guess I'm doing that again. And you played 7 Days to Die, says Meta. I hope you had a great time with that. Sounds way too spooky for me, but I hope you had fun. Yo, Jovan, GoBot Cadet, thank you so much for the raid. That is super duper cool of you. What were you doing on stream? Were you playing the music as you do amazingly? Honestly, shout out to both of y'all who are absolutely worth a follow. Jovan Patrick, aka GoBot Cadet, as well as Meta Bliss is the reason why the raccoon, who is the co-owner of my channel, why he became a streamer in the first place. He was inspired by Meta, and GoBot is just absolutely amazing. You can ask him to play whatever Sonic song on request live on stream, and he will play it. He's amazing, wonderful music guy. So you know what? I'm gonna link both of them. I'm gonna link both of them over on YouTube as well, because they deserve it, because they are amazing. So that's one link, and let's get another link in there. Come on, go a little faster. There we go. Yes, cool, awesome. So yes, please check out 2 very, very wonderful streamers. Thank you for being wonderful, and thank you so much for those raids. So those of you who do not know me, my name is Deven Mack, and I did the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog in Sonic Prime, as well as Orbot and Cubot and Chaos Sonic. Various characters and various things, including Chef from Total Drama Island, and all of these wonderful characters from Transformers BotBots. I saw somebody mention Grossology earlier. I did voice Lab Rat in Grossology. I am all over the place. Why did I stream early? I streamed at my regular time. I streamed at 7 p.m. I start a little bit early with the stream starting soon screen so people have time to gather around, but I streamed at my regular 7 o'clock, Deven o'clock hour. But thank you for dropping by, Sonic Joe. It is good to see you here. Jovan, I'm curious, did you have a favorite song that you played today? And did anybody ask you to play any Sonic music? I hope this BGM is not an explicit. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. It's just a Sonic playlist, isn't it? Aren't these songs from Sonic games? I don't know if it is for sure, but I assume it is. Mr. Blu-ray, being the best ever. That's very kind of you to say. I'm just some guy. I'm just a little guy. But that is very, very kind of you to say. Thank you for dropping on by. What song is it? I don't know. Let me see if I can take a look here. If anybody really knows their Sonic music, maybe they'll be able to say it. I'll make the volume a little louder for now. I can't tell what this is. But I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna bring this down for a second. I will link the playlist. And then I'll tell you what the time code is. So if you'd like to open it for yourself, if you'd like to open this link and see what the song is, maybe you can figure it out. I'm looking at. Okay, thankfully there's an uncensored version. Okay, I'm glad. We're PG stream here, so I'm glad that this is a good version. And it's at the 13-minute and 30-second mark. Samurai. Oh yeah! Thank you so much for dropping by. And Jovan says, play Dystopia by One OK Rock. Very, very nice. Vandalize as well. Sweet deal. I'm gonna have to check that out later. Again, this dude is so crazy talented. Again, thank both of y'all so much for those raids. All right, so we are now going to read, and now we're fighting Shadow on page 80.
Welcome to a gas pump.
What? I don't want Voicey in my playlist. That's a commercial. I was about to say, okay, that's definitely not Sonic music. Hey, here's Sonic music. This is a good Sonic music. All right, here we go. Fighting Shadow, page 80. This might be my favorite Sonic song. It's up there. It's definitely top 10. I was gonna say top 5. I'll turn it down a little bit. Oh, I was hoping this was the instrumental. It's not. This clashes with me a little bit. Gotta turn it down a little more. All right, here we go. So this is
Fighting Shadow.
I'm going to take a little sip before we go.
Fighting Shadow. Sonic didn't like to sleep at all, but tonight he was more tired than usual. He couldn't explain it, but he simply could not stay awake. He dreamed of destroying Dr. Eggman's robots and defeating the deranged scientists.
Can I keep this up? I'm gonna try my best to keep this up.
And defeating the deranged scientist once and for all. It was a good dream.
This voice honestly takes a bit out of me.
Miles away, though, the real Dr. Eggman was about to unleash a new, sinister plan. He had invented a long-range mind control device and was going to direct it at Sonic. Standing at the device's controls, Dr. Eggman turned some knobs and rotated some dials. Finishing some tests, it was ready. It looked like a speaker. And
was directed out the window of Dr. Eggman's lab toward Sonic's home.
And there it is. I think it looks like an old school cash register, maybe even a slot machine. I definitely cannot keep up the Jaleel voice, so I'm gonna change it up. I'm just gonna go back to Deven Mack style. All right.
I've completed the first phase of the plan, blasting sound waves that made Sonic unable to stay awake.
Dr. Eggman said, laughing creepily and spinning another dial.
And now I've developed the proper frequency that only Sonic can hear, which will allow me to take over his mind and place him under my control.
Dr. Eggman pressed a couple of buttons and tapped on a touchscreen, verifying the frequency setting of the device. Tiny sound waves shot out of a very advanced-looking speaker, vibrated from miles through the air, and somehow headed directly towards sleeping Sonic. Questionable Bard, thank you for being extremely not questionable with a very, very kind offer of 10 bitty boos. That is super, super sweet, and I appreciate you. Let's see. In his bed, Sonic snored slightly, muttering something about victory over Dr. Eggman. I always beat that big doopus McGoopus. What a loser. I'm way too good. I was getting too caught up in the improv. The sound waves from Eggman's machine moved towards the window and penetrated Sonic's ear. They vibrated with a piercing frequency that forced Sonic to wake with a jump. What's that noise? He shrieked, covering his... let's make it even more self-direction here. Deven, could you try that again, Deven, but, with a little bit more annoyance, a little bit more, like, shrieking discomfort. Okay, thanks, Deven. What's that noise? He shrieked, covering his ears. How was that? We'll take it. We don't have time for more. But it was too late. The sound waves had connected with his brain. He heard a voice in his head. Sonic. Dr. Eggman? Sonic asked, recognizing the voice as his arch enemies.
Sonic, you are now under my control.
Eggman's voice echoed in Sonic's head. I keep getting commercials. I don't want commercials. I don't want commercials. I want the music. This didn't happen before. Oh. I need to go back. You know what? I think I need to go back to the previous playlist, because I don't think this happened previously. This is so weird. Yeah, give me a second while I sort this one out. I think somebody decided to put a ton of ads on this. Yes, I'm directing myself, David. I'm directing myself like a madman. Okay. New playlist, where hopefully that's not gonna happen anymore. We're gonna try this one. I think this is different from the one I'd used before. And hopefully, way less annoying ads. And then, I apologize for the disruption, everybody. Okay, you go now, work. I hope. Okay, can you do Chase from Paw Patrol impression in a teenage adult way? Here's the thing. I feel uneasy about, unless I specifically have to. I don't like taking requests for voices for characters that I don't play, even if it's older versions of them. The only time I'll really do it is if it's like, if I'm again like reading something where it shows up in there. But if I'm correct, I do believe I've actually worked with. Let me see this. I have to be absolutely sure. Because this will be really, really funny to me. So Chase, he's the main character, right? I feel like I have worked with. Yes. Oh wait, no, not Chase. That's Ryder. Darn, that's Ryder. I have coached the actor for Ryder and for Rubble? No, Marshall. Marshall and Ryder. Those are the ones I've worked with. Yes, Ryder is the main kid. This goes to show how little I know about Paw Patrol, which I am on. That's the thing. We don't always watch every show that we're on. Sometimes I will watch clips to see my character. I have worked on Paw Patrol. I voice Gustavo Goodway. I was not his original voice. I believe it was Ron Pardo previously, but in the more recent seasons, I have been voicing him. And I'm also on the spin-off show Rubble and Crew, where I voice Omar, who is one of the dads on that show. Being a vocal coach must be crazy, or just coaching people not for their voice in general. No, well, technically voice director and coach, because I'm also like teaching them on the job. But I was the voice director of a show called Builder Brothers Dream Factory, where I got to work with those two kids from Paw Patrol, because they played kid versions of the Property Brothers. Some of you might know Drew and Jonathan Property. There were kid versions of them, played by kids from Paw Patrol. And then the actual Property Brothers were on the show as well. One of them played the dad, and the other one played the uncle. So they got to play their own dad and their own uncle. All right, so sorry about that tangent, but I do like to answer questions here. But question voice request time is now going to be on pause. Pause. While we get back to the story. Yes, that's right. Drew, well, they're the Property Brothers, so I'm just assuming, and that's what Raccoon insists on calling them. And if anything I know by that, I probably shouldn't listen to what Raccoon says. But yes, Drew and Jonathan Property is what he loves to say. Okay, back to the story. Here we go. Let's get focused. Let's get locked in. Okay, so we were at oh boy, we about to go crazy. So Sonic was trying to fight off the voice and its powerful suggestions, but he couldn't. Within seconds, the pain subsided and he relaxed his will, completely under Dr. Eggman's influence. "Yes, Master," Sonic said weakly.
Sonic, come to my lair. It's time for you to begin your training,
Eggman ordered. Sonic raced out of his home, running at top speed toward Dr. Eggman's evil laboratory. Seconds later, he arrived. Dr. Eggman was waiting for him on the grass outside of his hideout. Dr. Eggman motioned for Sonic to follow him inside. Let me just make sure I've got this right. I want to make sure I have the right thing. Yes, okay. I am reading the right story, because I'm like, where's Shadow? Where's Shadow? Sonic's lips curled into an evil grin. He was ready to learn the ways of world domination from his new master. Inside the lair, Sonic saw hundreds, maybe even thousands of robots. They were all different and all served different purposes. He began to realize these were Dr. Eggman's soldiers who would carry out the mad scientist's nefarious plans. And he was expecting Sonic to act as their general, leading them into war against the world until the entire planet was ruled by Dr. Eggman. As Sonic saw the robots, he felt a sense of anger towards them. He was having flashes of memories of him fighting Eggman and these robots. But the memories felt wrong. Like he'd joined the wrong side all along. And here's... something about this doesn't feel right. He was happy Dr. Eggman had set him free from his good ways of the past.
Sonic, your first attack will be on the beachfront, just outside of the city. I want you to take 20 robots and destroy all the buildings along the boardwalk. This won't take over the world, but it'll send a message to everyone that they better get out of our way,
Eggman said.
Sonic sneered confidently. This wouldn't be a problem. In fact, he thought it would be fun. Hours later, Knuckles and Amy Rose burst into Tails' lab.
The beachfront is under attack by Eggman's robots!
Amy Rose said with a high level of concern in her voice.
And we can't find Sonic,
Knuckles said gruffly. The team nodded at each other. They knew what they had to do. They raced to Tails' plane and soared toward the beach. From the air, they could see the chaos of the robots smashing buildings and people running from the beach toward safety. The robots were terrorizing countless innocents and destroying everything in their path. Tails swooped his plane downward, weaving around the robots and blasting them with laser cannons. Amy Rose, why do they keep saying her full name? That's weird. Amy and Knuckles leaped from the plane and began manually battling the robots in hand-to-hand combat. As Knuckles threw punch after punch at robot after robot, he saw a familiar blue blur from the corner of his eye.
All right, this is about to get good.
That's what you think.
You guys, Sonic's here!
Knuckles cheered, but the team's relief and celebrations would be brief. No sooner had Knuckles declared Sonic's presence than the blue hedgehog attacked his friends. Running at full speed, Sonic jumped into the air, landing on the nose of Tails' plane. Sonic grabbed the controls from Tails and forced the plane into a nosedive. Sonic, no! Amy screamed. For a moment, Sonic seemed to break from his trance and release the controls. Sonic jumped off the plane and ran away, leading the handful of robots his friends hadn't destroyed into the retreat of safety. Tails pulled the nose of his plane upward enough at the last minute to land the plane safely. Knuckles and Amy Rose, they keep saying that, approached the plane. What just happened? Amy asked, tears filling her eyes. Knuckles punched the plane and growled in frustration. Dude, that's Tails' plane.
Sonic betrayed all of us,
he said. Tails stared off into the distance where Sonic and the robots had gone. He'd never seen Sonic like this. Something was very wrong. When he jumped on the plane, I looked into his eyes. It's like he was Sonic, but wasn't Sonic at the same time. He was different, Tails said.
Yeah, evil,
Knuckles said, unable to hide his bitterness. What are we going to do? There has to be some way we can help him. Some way we can get the old Sonic back, Amy pleaded. Tails rubbed his chin as he thought. I have an idea, Tails said. If we're going to save evil Sonic and make him good again, we need to understand how he's thinking. And there's only one person in the world who can teach us. Oh no. Shadow the Hedgehog was alone in his home, lost in his own thoughts. He was so deep in thought. Shadow was almost oblivious to Tails and Knuckles approaching him. Shadow? Tails said. What? Shadow replied coldly. We need your help. We think Sonic's been captured and turned evil by Dr. Eggman. Shadow didn't care. At all. And he made that clear to Tails.
So, how does that affect me?
I guess it doesn't really, but we were hoping you'd help us figure out a way to get Sonic back from the dark side,
Tails said.
Not interested,
Shadow replied. Knuckles moved past Tails.
Listen, Buster, Sonic is evil. You're kind of like evil Sonic. You understand what he's thinking. If you don't help us figure out how to stop him, Sonic and Eggman are gonna take over the world. And do you really want Sonic to be the one who helps Eggman rule the planet?
Shadow wasn't evil, but he didn't like being compared to Sonic in any way. That made him mad. Really mad. However, deep down, Shadow respected Sonic. And if Eggman had turned Sonic evil, that had to be corrected.
All right, fine. I'll help,
Shadow said. Shadow showed up in Tails' lab only a few moments later, on his roller skates.
So what's the plan?
Shadow asked. Amy and Knuckles looked blankly at each other.
I thought you were going to tell us,
Amy said.
Shadow rolled his eyes. I'm only here to tell you what's in Sonic's head. I'm not going to make your battle plans. Knuckles stood up and moved uncomfortably close to Shadow. Your intel is going to make the plan. We're going to rescue him, and you're going to tell us how. Got it? Shadow pushed past Knuckles, ignoring the warning. He walked towards one of Tails' computers. So, Genius Fox, how did Eggman turn Sonic toward the dark side in the first place? Shadow asked.
Well, I checked out Sonic's bedroom and found nothing out of place.
I guess I should show Shadow being very mouthy and edgy. People sure do love edgy McDarksoul, don't they?
That's not my name, and you know it.
I'm sorry. Okay, he is pretty cool. Let's see. Shadow showed up in Tails' lab only a few moments later.
So,
oh, I have already read this. I've definitely already read this. Time to go to the next page.
Well, I checked out Sonic's bedroom and found nothing out of place. There were no signs of a struggle,
Tails said.
So, how does one get inside of a person's head to turn him evil without a fight?
He asked them. Or maybe Tails is the one saying that. I'm not sure. It's not very clear. They all glanced around with blank looks on their faces. Tails sighed.
I think Eggman may have used some kind of sound wave device that vibrated at a frequency only Sonic could hear, he said. Those sound waves could have easily carried subliminal messages into Sonic's brain, basically rewiring him.
So, like a hedgehog whistle, Shadow said. You want to know what's in his head? Whatever Eggman's telling him. And based on the attack on the beachfront, it looks like he's telling him to burn the world down.
I have an invention that will blast sound waves of an opposite frequency at Sonic, using the principle of destructive interference. It should cancel out Eggman's sonic whistle,
Tails said, holding up a small box roughly the size of a cell phone.
The problem is, it's got a very limited range. It basically has to be within a couple of inches of Sonic. And you're the only person I know who might be able to run fast enough to get close to him.
This caught Shadow's attention.
Might be?
He asked.
Well, yeah, he's pretty fast. Faster than you, I think,
Tails said. In less than a blink of an eye, Shadow zipped around Tails, snatching the sound device from his hand.
Not faster than me,
Shadow said defiantly. Suddenly, an alarm sounded in Tails' lab, echoing throughout his house. Another attack was underway, this time in the heart of the city. Sonic was leading dozens of robots, and there was no one standing in their way. Shadow said nothing, but sped away to the battlefront in a black blur. Knuckles leaned into Tails.
Why didn't you tell us about your little destructive interference invention in the first place?
You really think Shadow would have come all this way just for that?
Tails smiled.
Probably not,
said Knuckles.
Probably not,
Tails agreed. Shadow Sylveon, as resident Shadow in your name, huge Shadow fan, I do get where you're coming from. Clearly, very different writer of this story, as they continually put Amy Rose's full name every time they mention her. Different writer, different vibe. Let's see. No, not Sonic. Not Sonic. Sonic! Sonic could still hear the piercing sound that Eggman was using to control him, but he didn't care. It no longer hurt or bothered him. As long as he could take over the world, that was enough. And it was beginning in the city. Sonic led the robots into the middle of the city, and they were driving the citizens and residents into the streets. It was chaotic. But chaos wouldn't bother Shadow, who sped into town from the city's other end. He was carrying the disruptive interference device and was poised to use it on Sonic as soon as he got close.
Hey Sonic, think you could outrun me?
Shadow said. Sonic shot Shadow a passing glance, but paid him little heed. Shadow raced towards Sonic, but Sonic dashed out of the way, weaving his way through I'm going too fast for my own mouth. Weaving his way through the destructive robots. Shadow was trying to navigate the obstacle course of the battle, but was finding it hard as the robots kept interfering. Shadow shoved one robot out of the way as he ran past. Another he used as a springboard, leaping into the air to try to make up ground. Just as he was about to reach Sonic, Shadow felt something hard hit his ankle. One of the robots tripped Shadow. The interference device flew from Shadow's hand into the rubble and chaos in the city streets. He couldn't even see it. Great, Shadow whispered to himself. Shadow searched through the rubble. He couldn't find the device anywhere. Without it, he knew it would be almost impossible to defeat Sonic or free him from Eggman's control. And then Sonic would be in charge. Not cool. Clearly a writer who, they have a different perspective of Shadow, as some do. Overhead, Shadow saw Tails' plane joining the fight. Amy and Knuckles were battling robots on the ground. Shadow grew more frantic, searching for the interference device. Looking for this? Shadow spun around to see Sonic standing on a pile of rubble, holding the interference device. Give it back, Shadow said through gritted teeth. Sonic examined the box in his hands. What is it? A weapon? Shadow glared at Sonic, determined to get the device back. Something like that. It's a device that makes me even faster than you. Not that I need it. Well, let's give it a try, Sonic said as he pushed a flashing button on the device. Suddenly, the interference sound waves blasted from the boombox through Sonic's ears into his brain. The box sound waves clashed with the sound waves coming from Eggman's machine that was controlling Sonic. Within seconds, both waves had canceled each other out. Sonic fell to the ground holding his head. Shadow took a step towards Sonic. You okay, Sonic? Shadow asked. Sonic looked up, angry. Yeah, bit of a headache is all. Well, that and a whole lot of mad at Eggman. Shadow smiled, and Sonic smiled too. Tails, Knuckles, and Amy can finish this up, Sonic said. Let's go destroy Eggman's mind control machine. Sonic was about to speed to the villain's hideout when he noticed Shadow wasn't joining him. Hey, I was just here to help get you free. Now that that's done, good job freeing yourself, by the way. I'm out, Shadow said. Shadow, if Eggman did it to me, he can do it to you too, Sonic said. Shadow opened his mouth to say something, but quickly closed it. He realized Sonic was right. Let's destroy that machine, Shadow said. Sonic and Shadow raced at full speed to Eggman's hideout. Not gonna lie, I have seen cooler shadows than this. I have seen cooler shadows. I understand how some of y'all might be feeling it right now. Again, different writers, different styles. But I'm down. I am definitely down for the team up. I'm definitely down for the team up, even though I'm sure this is killing Shadow on the inside, which I can absolutely approve of. Eggman didn't realize Sonic had been freed from the mind control device. If he had, maybe he could have prepared his defenses for Shadow and Sonic's arrival. The two hedgehogs burst into Eggman's lab and in a blur dismantled the mind control device right before Eggman's eyes. Eggman barely had time to say anything before the machine was completely destroyed.
My perfect creation!
Eggman yelled, falling to the floor with millions of pieces of his Soundwave machine.
I'll get you for this, both of you! I hate those hedgehogs!
You'll have to catch us first, Sonic said with a sneer. Sonic and Shadow ran out of the lair side by side. So, think you can keep up? Sonic said. Do you? Shadow asked. The rivals picked up speed. The race was on. The blue and black blurs sped away, moving toward the horizon at an immeasurable pace. Sonic was free from Eggman's grasp, and deep down, he was grateful for Shadow's help. But I'd never let him know that. The end. And that was Fighting Shadow. I hope y'all enjoyed. And that is 3 out of 6 of the definitely not 5-minute stories, but I still had a great time reading those. And because I missed you earlier, Wani983, thank you so much for that follow. Very, very kind and appreciated of the you. And I'm a little disappointed. This probably came out before Sonic Prime. Otherwise, I expect we could have gotten a it would have been nice to have a Their Air shoes in there. Yeah, okay, Skatey McSkate Fast. Okay, Skater Boy. Whatever helps you feel cool. All right, so, yo, that is it for Spin Dash Sunday. Or, you know what I could do? No, I'll save it for next time. I will save it for next time. So I will be back here next Go Fast Friday, which is same time, same channel, and we'll be reading more of this. And then next Spin Dash Sunday, I'm gonna be playing a Sonic game that I've been quite enjoying, Sonic Rumble, which some might refer to as Fall Guy Sonic Zone, Falling Guy Zone. I didn't have a clever pun to make that work. Fall Guy Zone Act 1. But yeah, I like that game. I am sometimes good at that game. I'm gonna be playing that right here on Spin Dash Sunday. But next Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific, to be specific, we're gonna read the other 3 definitely not 5-minute stories that are in this book. And I hope to see y'all join me. You know what? Why not? I'm gonna use the next maybe 5-ish minutes or so, maybe 10 minutes, to take any more questions, any comments, anything y'all want to say. If you asked me something earlier, but I did not get around to answering it, please feel free to ask, and I will answer to the best of my ability. I love answering questions about voice acting. I love answering questions about basketball because I'm a basketball guy. I'm a former basketball player who is definitely not competitive anymore, but I love me some basketball. I'm missing basketball to do this stream, but it's worth it. Have I met Tara Strong? No, I have not met Tara Strong before. We have been castmates, as I'm sure you know very well, David and Zengi. We were castmates in the Inspector Gadget new cartoonish, I say newish and it's like 10 years old, where she voiced Penny and I voiced just various extra characters like Dr. Stand-In, who kind of sounds like me doing a little bit of Barack Obama. And I voiced an evil alligator with a British accent, and some like generic like nerdy teen guy. Oh my goodness, 2015. Yeah, we are approaching a decade. That's wild. And I was also in Power Birds with her, where I was the narrator, and I forget how I sounded. I think I kind of sounded like this, doing a slight Samurai Pizza Cats narrator, but more dialed back. And she was the voice of Polly the Power Bird in that show. How is your little buddy Raccoon? I will say, I do not mind answering questions about Raccoon because I'm sure he would be very happy to be talked about. Yeah, Raccoon has been behaving himself lately. I think he was extremely humbled recently by going back to Toon School and realizing he's still got, a few things to learn. So he's been incredibly not constantly taking it out on me. The most snarky remark I got from him was when I talked about how I found this book in the bread section at Walmart. So clearly it must be some kind of bread. He dared me to, if it's bread, you should eat this on live. Eat it on live, you coward. Which I'm going to not do. I don't think it's extremely digestible. But, and as Midna suggested, raccoons are very, very good at digesting just about anything. So I'm sure he wouldn't have a tough time eating this. But not until I'm done reading it. Not until I'm done reading it. And hey, Pink Ninja, it's all good to not like the sports. The sports is not for everybody. But I just kind of, my dad got me into playing soccer, or football, as they say in many other countries. That's not how my dad talks at all. My dad has some confusing Caribbean, French, Southern Oklahoman accent that doesn't make any sense. He was like, hey, boy, garçon, you're going to play there. We're going to have you play the soccer. That's not even close. Yeah, he got me into soccer when I was like 5, but I was not great at soccer. And then I saw basketball. I saw people doing awesome, like, crazy slam dunks and whatnot. And I was like, I want to do that. And then I got super duper into it. Loved the Toronto Raptors. Vince Carter. Always cheered against Michael Jordan every time, which went terrible for me. I only cheered for him in Space Jam. But he always won the basketball games in the real basketball, and didn't work out for me. But hey, I got to be on a winning basketball team, as some already know. My middle name, Deven. Did you know I went to school with Stephen Curry, Mack? In grade 8, we were classmates and teammates. We won every single game, and now he's out there playing the basketball, winning the championships and the Olympic medals, and I'm like, that's my boy. So I'm living vicariously through him, because I'm the same height now that I was in grade 8, so competitive basketball is over. But I like watching him. I feel like my childhood, those good days kind of come back to me. And also another reason why Raccoon will be happy is because as soon as I'm done with this, I'm actually going to be making a chili pizza as soon as I'm done with this stream, where the chili is the sauce. And I'm quite a fan of that. Rocky is a fan of that. So we'll have a nice chill time together after that. Rob Stu, sorry, I don't do the... I try to be very careful about the actual voice requests, because I do know that the Hedgehog Factory, that they sometimes watch my channel. So companies can be very particular about characters saying stuff, actors saying stuff in characters' voices, if it's not like officially written down in something, so I try to be careful about that. But Rob Stu, thank you so very much for dropping by, and it's way cool of you to be here. So sorry, can't do the request thing, but I appreciate you being here. I don't know if it's Maya or Mia, so tell me if it's the first one or the second one. But shout out to Zio Abyss, my homie. I have his Beyblades right here. Go now, Big Sis! Go now, Spiral Fox! Yeah, I love my time with Beyblade. Will always be very, very precious to me. When a lot of people heard that I was gonna be Sonic, and they were thinking, oh great, is Sonic gonna sound like Chuck from Angry Birds now? I was just like, nah, y'all need to watch what I did in Beyblade. I got to do some of my favorite acting ever. I got to be so intense and so subtle at times in the show about the spinny tops that I used to laugh at until I actually started working on it and watching it, and I'm like, this is awesome. What? And the game is awesome. It's great. I love it. So thank you for that. Thank you for the Beyblade shout out. And I became very, very, very close friends with Toby's actor, Toby, who is still one of my very, very best and closest friends to this day. So yes, I will always deeply cherish my time with Beyblade. Not to mention, I should probably mention this as well. There is a character, well, you already probably know from that show, named Tetsuya Wataragani. Crabby, snap. He is absolutely whacked out crazy, and I love it. He's like if you combine the Joker and the Mask and everything. Well, not an edgy Joker, more a goofy Joker. He's great, and just have him be a Beyblader who thinks he's a crab And that was one of the greatest performances I've ever seen. Dude also voices Owen in Total Drama Island. I saw that performance and I was like, Raccoon needs to be more like that. And then he became more like that. Raccoon would agree and say his laugh is highly inspired, if not influenced, by Tetsuya's laugh, which I can't duplicate. When I try to do the Tetsuya laugh, it just sounds like which sounds a little bit like a certain raccoon. Yeah, love that time with my time with that show and its ridiculous world. So thank you for that mention. I'm glad Sonic and Shadow's relationship improved in Prime, because at the beginning, it almost didn't feel like Sonic and Shadow's rivalry was shown. I mean, he did punch him in the face pretty fast, if I recall correctly. But it was kind of, they did have some very nice, very heartwarming moments. I will say, hey, I'm gonna bring this all back around to basketball. And I've told this story before. My personal favorite episode, aside from the Chaos Sonic episode Double Trouble. Shadow Sylveon, thank you so much for dropping by. Please do enjoy the dinners. My favorite episode was Avoid the Void. And that is specifically because it's the only one that I recorded at the same time as one of my castmates. I recorded that at the same time as Ian Hanlon. I recorded that right around the corner in my bedroom closet where I record everything. And Ian Hanlon recorded it in a recording studio in Vancouver at the exact same time, which is a 5-hour flight away from me. So that's why I was not recording over there. Also somebody mentioned, have I met Adam Narada before? No, sadly I have not. He voices the regular world, the Prime Knuckles, whereas the variants are voiced by Vincent Tong. Adam Narada is a very super duper talented dude. We've had a few exchanges over the social media, but we have not met yet in person, but I hope that changes sometime in the near future. But I'm gonna give this guy a shout out a little bit because he deserves it. For those of you who are able to access this, you probably have to be in the US. He is in a brand new show called Super Rabbit Boy, which is actually Super Rabbit Boy is the main character's name. The show is called Press Start, based on a series of books that are definitely kind of inspired by Sonic and Mario. And Adam Narada voices the main villain named King Viking, who definitely reminds me a bit of Wario if he were a Viking. There's a bit of Wario and Eggman and Bowser all at the same time. And I believe Adam Narada also voices the dad in this. My good friend Brian Doe also voices Super Rabbit Boy. It's a very cute, charming show. Had to get that mention in there. Okay, back to the story. I'll answer one more question too. Pink Ninja asking if I'm on the autism spectrum. No, I am not. And the voices of Orbot and Cubot, it's very easy for me to do. It's just kind of a bit of a British sort of accent, a light British accent, and then this sort of goofy sort of thing, and then I can press a button that I have that makes my voice go like this. All right, so now, for real, back to the story. I'm gonna finish the story, basketball story. So, we had that episode, the Avoid the Void episode, which was going to be pretty much, as some of you know, it's pretty much entirely Sonic and Shadow having all of their scenes together, pretty much. And the day before that I was supposed to record that, it was a Tuesday, and I'm just watching my basketball. I'm watching my boy Stephen Curry beating up on his Golden State Warriors, beating up on the Toronto Raptors, and I'm like, great, this is awesome, I'm enjoying this. And then I get a text message on my phone saying, you know, from the way this basketball game is going, I think I'm gonna punish a certain hedgehog by giving him a lot of screamy lines tomorrow. I'm like, who is this? What? Huh? What? And I realize it's the voice director of Sonic Prime, James Corrigal, who is an amazing dude. I love working with him. I worked with him on my first Vancouver show, Super Dinosaur, and on Ninjago. He's directed that as well. And so I'm like, oh, this dude's got my phone number. I totally forgot about that. Okay. And then I respond to him saying, you know, actually, screamy stuff. I tend to have fun with the screamy stuff, unless it's him falling down and they use stock scream several times that I've recorded once and they reuse it. I like when they get to do new screams. And so he's like, oh, okay, then I guess I'll have to find another form of punishment. And to which I said, listen, James, if you really want to punish me, then don't let me record tomorrow's episode at the exact same time as Ian Hanlon reading Shadow, because I want to do that. So not letting me do that would be punishment. And he's like, oh shoot, is the script just you and Ian? Is it just Sonic and Shadow? I haven't read the whole script yet. Let me see if I can reschedule things and get Ian to come in early. Now, at this point in time, we were on like full on like super duper COVID lockdown, so they weren't having multiple actors record in the studio at the same time as they would often do. They were only having one person at a time, but this time I had the rare advantage of being the one guy recording from home. So they could have Ian in the studio in person and me in person at the same time, and we were just together over the magic of Zoom. So, thanks to basketball, thanks to Steph Curry, I got to record that episode and only that episode alongside a castmate at the same time, and it was an absolute joy. We definitely kind of got the chemistry going, and I think it comes through in the performance as well. James is such a great director that like the conversations feel very natural anyways. It feels like we were all recording at the same time, but that's the only episode where it truly happened. And we had some fun. There were definitely some lines that we looked at and were like, oh, I know where I'm going with this. Do you know where you go? Let's go there. We didn't have to say it. We just knew. So shout out to Ian Hanlon once again. Super duper talented dude. Deserves all of the flowers in the world. And I'm glad we got to perform together because we never got to do that for Angry Birds. Again, he was Chuck. I was Chuck. He was Red. Sometimes Chuck doesn't remember how to Chuck. But we never got to do it there. But fortunately, we got to do it with that one episode of Sonic Prime. That was a very long-winded answer to a question no one asked. But I hope you enjoyed that story if you haven't heard it before. I'm happy to, I'll take 2 more questions. Do I have any advice to sound like Sonic and Shadow? Okay, I will say, now I feel like a consistent thing with a lot of versions of Shadow is kind of like that sort of darker though calming tone he's got. And I feel like that is driven from breath. Breath is kind of what drives how I would place a Shadow voice. So you kind of take that big breath in, and as you talk, you are kind of almost surfing on the air with your words as you breathe out. Shadow the Hedgehog. I believe the air kind of drives it and helps me get into that a little bit more. As far as Sonic goes, ooh, that's a tricky one. But for me, I feel what drives it is having a bit of confidence, having a bit of a swagger, a bit of smirk to yourself. Posture can often be what really, really drives a character, getting into a character's voice. So usually when I'm doing the Sonic thing, my head, it wants to, I don't usually let it, but my head kind of wants to go like that, to have a little bit of that, like, oh yeah, I know how cool I am. And so if you kind of have the facial expression, have the posture, oftentimes the voice will naturally start to follow. And Mia saying, is basketball hard? It can be. Though there are some people who are crazy fast with the between the leg dribbles and all that, and especially when you are not super tall anymore. I was one of the tall kids in grade 8. When you're not very tall, it gets even harder to play. For perspective, Steph Curry is 6'2" or 6'3", I believe. I'm gonna say 6'3". He's considered short. He's considered basketball short. And when he first came onto our team in grade 8 and our coach saw him for the first time, he's like, this kid's tiny. What are we gonna do with him? But he made up for his lack of size by being very, very quick. And that quickness plays to his advantage. He can shoot the ball before the much taller players are able to block him. So, yeah, he's, you kinda gotta use trickery sometimes to make up for the physical things that you might not have. You know what's funny, Cherry? You say this about the sneakers, the squeaking on the floor that they make. I miss that so much. I miss it so much. I know to a listener, especially somebody who's not used to watching and listening, it can be very, very annoying. But a retired basketball player, one of the greats, named Magic Johnson, said it best. You miss the music of the game when you're out there on the court. There's almost a music to the swish of the ball going through the net, the clank of the ball hitting the rim, and the squeaking of the sneakers. All of it, like you hear all these sounds, the referee's whistle, it all kind of like, it awakens something in you when you're a player or when you're like a diehard fan. But if you're not, my goodness, those are annoying sounds. So I totally get it. I totally get where you're coming from. And I would say probably as a dancer, although there's actual music playing all the time as well, and there's often music playing at sports games too. But as a dancer, I'm sure that there are rhythms, there are sort of rustling of clothing and sort of like sounds of feet on the ground that you get used to hearing as a dancer. I am not a dancer, but Cherry is a dancer, and she is quite good at it. I can dance just well enough to make people who can't dance at all think that I know what I'm doing. Sometimes. That's what I'm gonna go with. Yes, Vash, I am also super, super happy for Magic Johnson. Yeah, so he's got HIV. He was diagnosed with HIV, I believe, I want to say around 93, 94, maybe 92. And then he had to retire, but like he actually came back. After a couple of years, he came back and he still played. And I'm like, what an absolute boss. And kudos to like all the players in the league who are like, you know what? We're gonna be careful about this, but let's go. And that's really, really amazing. Really, really talented guy, and he's got quite the story of his life as well. Some may not know. I'm gonna throw this one in here as well. Here's a little joke. Absolutely nobody except a basketball and wrestling fan will be extra amused by this. So, there's a good friend of mine named Edwin Tiong, who many might know as the voice of Nazo from the Sonic fan cartoons Nazo Unleashed. And he's also all over the Tome series as Giga. He would always make jokes to me and Edward Bosco because he is not much of a sports fan. He thought the Super Bowl was a bowling event. He'd say, oh yes, I love the bases Kit Balls' goal score. I love it. My favorite player is Magic the Undertaker Jordan. I love Magic Jordan. Magic Jordan is the best. And we're just like, Edwin, stop being silly, you wonderful man. So in Ninjago, where they had me, not to spoil it for those who haven't seen, but they had me voicing two characters who ended up being the same character. But they didn't want to give it away. So they asked me if I could come up with a fake credit name for one of the characters, so people wouldn't be able to tell, oh, they're voiced by the same person. Obviously, those characters are the same guy. So the name that I came up with was, based off of Edwin's joke. So Magic Johnson's actual name is Irvin Johnson. Irvin Magic Johnson. I came up with, my fake name was Irvin M. Jordan. So I actually used Magic Jordan as my fake name for Ninjago, which Edwin was very, very amused by. I considered using Rodney Rockwell as my fake name, and those of you who are familiar with the Tome web series would know about that. But then I realized, wait a minute, all somebody would have to do is look up Rodney Rockwell, and they would probably get the connection to Raccoon, and then would probably get the connection to me, giving it away once again. So, Magic Jordan. I think Irvin isn't spelled quite like that, David, but it's close. I think there's like an A in there or something. Irvin. Yes, that's so weird. Why do I want to remember it as ER, but it's EARVIN Johnson. Irvin Magic Johnson Jr. Pink Ninja says, I know you've been on Ninjago, and I also know that Aaron has been a Ninja fan, but how long have you been a Ninjago fan for in real life? As soon as I started working on the show. But, like I said, there's a lot of stuff that I work on that I don't watch. There's not a lot of stuff that I watch nowadays, period, and I feel aged out from, even though, again, Ninjago is a really, really, really well-written show that can be enjoyed by people of all ages. But I feel kind of I guess the best way to put it is not the target audience for Ninjago. When it debuted, I was 23 years old, so I was not watching that kind of stuff. But after I got on it, I was like, this is great, and I wish I grew up with this as a kid. And it was pretty much the same way for me with Beyblade. I'm like, okay, I really like this. And so I haven't watched every single Ninjago episode. Not guarantee if I ever will go back and will. I know how to talk words clearly, but I've watched every season that I've been on because I am that into it. Let's see. I said I was not going to be on that long, but I'm enjoying this. I'm gonna look at the YouTube again. I think Ninjago is my favorite show, says Dakota Brown. Absolutely based. Ninjago is, like I said, one of those shows where it wasn't until I watched it that I was like, oh, now I get why it's so popular. You've got not just great performances all around, you've got just great story, the dynamic between Lloyd and his dad, incredible music. Shout out to Jay Vincent and Michael Kramer, I believe. And yeah, there's a lot of love that clearly goes into that show. Tommy really, really cared very deeply about these characters, and I'm honored that I get to be a part of it. Z9 Studios, thanks so much for dropping by. Do I watch Death Battle? Not usually. I do have a lot of friends who have worked on it. A buddy of mine, Chris Guerrero, has been the narrator, not narrator, I guess the battle announcer. I don't know if he still does that. But yeah, I have watched it here and there, but it's been a while. Every now and then I might go take a peek though, if it's like an actor who I'm really, really tight with and I haven't heard them in something in a while. I'll be like, yo, I want to see how they're doing. But it's not a series I'm super invested in, but I love that it has been able to continue after Warner Brothers Discovery made the bad decision. I'm glad that there are still passionate fans who want to see it going, and a team that's still able to make it happen. I'm glad it's not been tied up in some sort of weird legal dispute where they can't make more. And favorite movie. Favorite movie. Also, just because I'm very particular about this, it's no biggie though, because it happens all the time. Deven with 2 E's. It's spelled like 7, but with a D. No matter what a certain raccoon who hangs out on this channel may tell you otherwise, that is my name. That is how it is spelled and pronounced. Don't listen to the raccoon. He'll say anything else except that. Please don't listen to him. Jay or Sam Vincent? What was your question about Jay and Sam Vincent? I am very curious to know. What? When did I mean Sam Vincent? Did I say Jay and his father when I meant to say Lloyd and his father? I'm not sure what I have said now. But I wasn't trying to. I mentioned Ninjago voice actors. I didn't mention any particular ones by name. I don't think I did, but they're very talented. Michael Adam Thwaite, and of course Sam Vincent, Kelly Metzger. I'm so grateful as well. And of course Vincent Tong. So grateful that I got to perform alongside the late great Kirby Morrow. If not for Ninjago, I would never have gotten to meet him. And he immediately just accepted, everybody there accepted me as part of the family. I definitely had some moments where I was doing a double take because I had Brian Drummond to me on one side and I had Kirby Morrow to me on the other, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm recording in a sandwich between a Goku and Vegeta voice actors that I've grown up with. What is my life? So that for me was really special. I got to, even before I was cast as Aaron, I was baking pies and bringing them to Ninjago record sessions, and I got to share apple pie with all of them, and that was very wholesome and special to me. And of course, shout out to Andrew Francis as well, who's doing a phenomenal job. But that Master of the Mountain season is super duper very special to me, because that was all about Cole. We really got great focus on him. He got this great theme song. It was about him just finding his confidence and learning about his connection to his mother. And I'm very grateful that I got to have that. And I'll never forget it. Even something that I'm gonna remember, even though we didn't have any super deep conversations or any super really standout time of speaking with with Kirby, getting my Curbs mixed up. Something that he did that he definitely didn't have to do and caught me off guard, and this was a month before he passed away, and a few months after we finished recording Ninjago, so I hadn't seen him in a while. He sent me a friend request just out of the blue, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what? Wow. He really just saw me on that level as one of his peers, even though I grew up listening to him, and just revered him as a talent. He was also Cyclops in X-Men Evolution. He was Tommy on Yvonne of the Yukon. I've seen him all over the place. So that for me was really meaningful, and I'm always gonna cherish that. You know what? I feel like shortening it to Dev definitely works. Super Sci-Fi. Thank you for that. I don't know if I'm gonna change my handle to that, but who knows? Maybe I will. And I'm sure that Raccoon will insist that it's short for Devious Mackerel. Favorite movie, says Dakota Brown. Favorite movie, it's hard to think of it immediately off the top of my head, but Iron Man is usually the first one that comes to mind. I love Iron Man. I also love Guardians of the Galaxy, all of them. That is my favorite movie trilogy, and I also really like Black Panther. I should try to think of something that is not a Marvel superhero movie, but all of those are the first ones that are coming to mind for me. There are definitely others. I know there are definitely others, but those are just what's in my brain right now. I don't like all Marvel movies. I'm actually kind of on the Marvel fatigue sort of side right now. After Infinity War, I've never really felt like anything got quite back up there, except for Last Guardians of the Galaxy and some of Black Panther 2. But yeah, those are the ones that are coming to mind for me immediately. I'm sure there are other movies that I really love, Spider-Verse, both of them. I think I like the first one more, but I finally think of something else, and it's another superhero movie. There are others. They're just not in my brain right now, but let's go with those. Rocky Roads, it's good to see you. Suspish devious mackerel. The sussiest of the fishies, I'm sure Rocky would say. Oh boy. Oh my goodness, tomorrow is the 4th anniversary of his passing. I had no idea. But wow, I am definitely gonna spend tomorrow reflecting and thinking on him a little bit. Probably will watch some old Dragon Ball stuff with him, maybe watch some X-Men Evolution. Everybody has heard of Disney. I feel like you gotta be very isolated to not know what the Disney is, because they are very slowly buying everything. It wouldn't surprise me if in a few years from now movies will just be called Disney's. I definitely did grow up with Disney. I don't know if I have a favorite Disney movie off the top of my head, but I really like The Lion King. I really like The Emperor's New Groove. That one I did not grow up with. That one I saw later on in life, but I wish I saw it as a kid. It's like if I wrote a Disney movie. That's how I feel about The Emperor's New Groove. Its humor is very much up my alley. The poison. We gotta get the poison for Cusco. I never had a really good Patrick Warburton. But yeah, great movie. Great talent, great writing, great animation. Let's see, what else we got? Favorite Batman. Batman Forever. Most people don't say that. But we get Jim Carrey being insane, and that's enough for me. And I really love its soundtrack. I really like its soundtrack. And also, like, I'm not on board with, like, Batman killing people, so that was always a bit of a problem for me in the first 2 movies. But yes, I do. I think that Batman Forever deserves better, and I would love to see the proper cut of it. And yes, we get to hear the kiss from a rose in the soundtrack. Da 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 by Seal, one of the greatest songs of all time. So yes, Rocky Roads, thank you for that mention. What is it with foxes and having the best taste? Yes, that's a good one. That's a very good one. I know who I Show Speed is? He's not for me. His antics that's not my vibe. There's not a lot of YouTubers/streamers that I really watch unless they're people who I've like known for a while or am friends with. But, you know, I hope he stays out of trouble and does good things. I like people who do good things and put good into the world, but he does some very chaotic things. Do I watch Arcane? I tried to get into it. It wasn't really for me. Something about the pace and the world I just couldn't connect with. One of the kind of immediate, like, I know there's I know there's a good show in there. I'm not saying it's a bad show. It just didn't vibe with what I'm looking for energy-wise. Beautifully animated. I know there's a lot of care that goes into those characters, but it's just not really vibing with my style. But for those of you who are fans, hey, you got some new episodes to look forward to. So I hope that y'all enjoy that. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say on that. I tried I feel like I watched maybe the first 5 or so episodes, but I couldn't really hook me. At least there were times when it did, but it couldn't hook me consistently. Camera shaky. I wonder what happened. I don't think there was an earthquake. I feel like I would have known if there was. Maybe it was a very, very light earthquake. Let's see. Favorite Spider-Man. Ooh, that's a tough one. Christopher Daniel Barnes. Da 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 da. Spider-Man. Radioactive Spider-Man. That was the Spider-Man that I was probably not the first one that I was introduced to, but that was the first one where I'm like, oh, I want to be that guy. He is so cool. That was the 90s cartoon, which is connected to the X-Men 97 universe. So we could, very, very possible that we will get a continuation of that. But yes, I love that show. But there's a lot of really great Spider-Mans, a lot of great Spider-Men. I have not heard a Spider-Man performance that I haven't liked. And I still like to go back and watch the 1960s Spider-Man every now and then. I couldn't fully appreciate it as a kid, but now it's a great comedy to me. And my cousin, actually my older cousin, says that the closest he has come to dying has been from watching that cartoon and watching way, way, way too hard, laughing way, way, way too hard. At this episode is called Spider-Man versus Skyboy, and he's fighting against there's some new wannabe superhero guy. He puts on some suit and he calls himself Skyboy, and he's got like a cape and whatever, and he puts this thing on his head that just looks like a big like blender, and it's just sitting atop his head, just up there, this like big like red or purple blender looking thing. And then my cousin's like, oh, well, obviously, you know, it's gonna turn into some sort of like helicopter, it's gonna like open up, or there's gonna be something. Like, nope, he just starts floating because of this blender thing on his head. He can instantly just float through the air. And my cousin's like, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. He was actually choking himself. He thought he was gonna die. And so if you ever do watch the episode Spider-Man versus Skyboy, please carry that warning. My cousin himself has said that is the closest I've come to dying, and I have been stabbed and shot at. Not that he's a guy who gets into trouble, just wrong place, wrong time, but he's okay. But yeah, the closest he's come to dying has been that Spider-Man episode from the 1960s. Josh Keaton is amazing, my goodness. From the Spectacular Spider-Man. That is a great, 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 great show. I wish it got more time. I wish it got more anything. So good. So good. Amazing cast all around. I'm not sure if I have a favorite voice for, well, no, it's J.K. Simmons. Because he did it in the live action and he did it in the cartoons. But my second favorite J. Jonah Jameson is Ed Asner, who was, he was J. Jonah Jameson. They played him a little bit older in that sort of version of it. Also known for his work in Up, which he starred in, and also made a guest appearance in an Adult Swim show that I like, which is not very many, because that's not typically my vibe. He did a great job in a show that I enjoyed called Ball Masters, which is kind of a bit of a Dragon Ball, just an anime parody in general, and he appeared in one episode, and that was out of nowhere, because dude was very old. That's right. Yes. Wait. Now my mind is a blur, because the elf that's in my mind right now is a musical play that I saw, which is not the movie. I don't remember who was it in the movie. Was it Ed Asner or was it J.K. Simmons who was Santa in Elf? I actually don't know. And I could see either of them doing a great job. And I know J.K. Simmons is playing Santa Claus right now in that Red One movie with The Rock. So, where's my brain at? Oh my goodness, Moss, thank you for dropping by. It's good to see you. Congratulations on crushing the math exams. What festive music. This fits very nicely. Love that Sonic Advance soundtrack. Thank you so much for dropping by. I hope that you are doing well. Now that you've escaped the math heck. Where did you think I was going with that? Do I like plushies? It's not that I particularly go out of my way to acquire plushies, unless they are raccoons. And I occasionally have plushies of characters that I've voiced, such as Vile, the reincarnation demon, or Chuck from Angry Birds. But yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a humongous plushie fan, but it's nice to have things of characters that I'm connected to, and all of the raccoons ever. My favorite cookies. I do not like most cookies, but there's a few. There's a few I'm fans of. I would say Fudgio cookies I really like, even though I don't like the icing. I'm not in it for the icing. I'm in it for the tough cookie part. Yeah, those are some tough cookies. I like that part. I like to take the icing off and then just have the harder cookie part, and I put that in the milk, and then I just let it soak for just like 10 seconds, and it starts to melt into it just a little bit. Mwah! That's when it's like perfect form. Imagine Rocky as a plushie, so cute. That has happened. That has happened. I'm going to share it. Hopefully he won't get mad at me. But there is a huge raccoon fan who's also become a friend of mine over the years, and they make lots of plushies, and they've made various plushies of Tome characters. I know they've made one of Archie, and they've made multiple ones of Rocky. In fact, oh, why don't I just go get it right now? Okay, so this Rocky, I'm only gonna show the top half of him. I'm gonna show the top of him because he's a little worse for wear, because I've had him for several years. I've had him, oh my goodness, for 10 years. But yes, he's worse for wear over the years. I would sometimes take him on trips with me. That's how much I adore this. So yes, here's plushie Rocky. Very much has gone through the ringer, but yes, that's the plushie Rocky that I have. And I also had a Chaos Sonic plush that was made for me. And yes, you know what? It would be correct to. I think it's a very good guess to say I'm a fan of raccoons. After I had the honor of being asked to voice one, that's when I started not just changing the script, but also just like researching raccoons, and I'm like, oh, they're actually the coolest animal ever, pretty much, and they're extremely fascinating and extremely versatile. And very stubborn, which are all things that I vibe with. So yes, raccoons are pretty great. So I spent all this time talking about the individual who made this, but I haven't linked their page. So I will link their page. Zephyr Together is their Twitch streamy page, and they don't seem to have a regular streaming time. But very, very wholesome, very, very fun. And I know that they will still make plushies on request. But this one, they gave to me in person because they had traveled here with their parents to go see the Sonic Symphony in Toronto. That's not where they're from. They're not even from Candyland, but they traveled to see it, and they're like, "Hey, I've got this for you. I want you to have this." And this was a very, very pleasant surprise for me to receive. A Deven the Raven plushie would be absolutely amazing, Samara. That would be super duper cool.
I'm just a silly little lanky guy.
All right. And like I said, as I've said before, this is one of many reasons I don't consider myself a celebrity, and I never will. When I went to the Sonic Symphony, it was a good long while before anybody knew who I was. And I think somebody did ask me if I was going. So there was a fan, unfortunately their name is escaping me right now, but a fan asked me on Instagram if I was going to be going there, and I was like, yeah, I might. And then, so I found him and I chatted with him once I arrived there, and then a little circle started to gather around me, and people were like, "Who's that guy? Who's that? Who is that guy? Why is everybody gathering around him?" And then, that's me, Bluey McSpeedfast. I go at the speed of pace quickly now. Let's move. All those words. And it went like that. But I kind of like the superpower, if anything. The anonymity is more my vibe, because I'm naturally the quiet, chill guy who doesn't really want to be the center of attention. So it all still kind of works for me. But at the same time, I want people to have a positive experience. I know that I have the ability to put positivity and joy out into the world and into people's lives, and that's why I do the whole streamy thing. And who knows, maybe some conventions in the future. Doomdog Lazy asking if Raccoon is my OC. No, he is not. He was given to me. I was asked to voice him in a web series called Tome, Terrain of Magical Expertise. And at that point, that was for a web series, and by that point, I had retired from doing like online amateur voicey type stuff for free. So I agreed to do it on the premise that I could do whatever I wanted with my character in the script. If I didn't like the lines, I'm rewriting all the lines and doing whatever I want. And then I was told,
Sold. Do whatever. Just go, do whatever you want.
and so that character that I did not create basically became my precious baby. He was supposed to be just a one-off, goofy, silly sort of villain who gets defeated and never comes back. But the creator and the fans liked him so much, he kept coming back. And he kept coming back. And I kept writing new stuff. And he very much evolved over the 13 years that I've been working with him. And then, basically, I got to write the story I always wanted because I'm a humongous fan of Team Rocket. I got to essentially write the Team Rocket existential crisis arc that I always wanted to see that never happened. And then, lo and behold, one day, I get a knock on my door in 2021? A knock on my door from the actual raccoon from actual Raccoon, aka Rocky J Raccoon, knocked on my door demanding restitution for the fact that I had voiced him in those cartoons, and he says that I sounded absolutely nothing like him. And so out of a legal agreement, because he never got credit for his own live action performance in that series, and I got all the credit for doing the voice work, he now has partial legal ownership of my channel. So he streams here on Tuesdays, and sometimes whenever he feels like it, and he also likes to just cause havoc for me and show up and just be a jerk at certain points in time. So if you see a raccoon streaming here, or if you see other videos on my channel involving a raccoon, that's him, and I just have to deal with it. I just have to put up with it. I have to take it, because that's my life now. Once raccoons are part of your life, they never, ever, ever go away. So don't invite a raccoon into your house unless you're expecting that to be your life from now on forever. Do I know Queso? I don't think so, unless they once had a other name. I feel like I've seen that name before. Okay, looking at their picture, I definitely do not know who that is. But he looks like a very silly guy from those pictures. Samara says, speaking of conventions, I have something exciting to tell you. Oh, please do tell. Knowing smile? Oh my goodness. I would love to go to Oz Comic Con. Two of my students are already in Australia. Good friends, Mike Vaca, who is in Dustin, Lizzie, and Tail, who some have described, I don't know if he would describe himself that way, but some have said he has a Bogan accent. I don't think he does. I've never heard him say anything about, coming over this Arvo, you're munching on all them dairies all day. I've never heard him say things like that. And then Edwin Tiong, who voices, my brain is broken. Edwin Seong, who voices Nazo, he is also from Australia, so I would love to get to go there, and I would get to hang out with not only meet you, but also, yeah, tons of Sonic fans, friends. That would be an amazing experience. I will autograph for free all of the Chaos Sonic things that you bring me. For all of the wonderful artwork that you have given me, I would be happy to do that. I've been to San Diego Comic-Con, yes, once and only once. I was there just this past summer, and I had a phenomenal time. I was there on behalf of the Lego company. They had me at the Lego booth doing autographs and doing panels for Ninjago Dragons Rising, and that was really, really cool. I got to meet some of the Lego Masters contestants as well, and it was just a really, really great, wholesome time. I, of course, baked a pie that was a Sora pie, and Sora's actress, Sabrina Petrie, was also there along with me. Where is... Oh, I have her minifigure downstairs. Shame on me. But yes, that was very, very great, very, very wholesome, and it was also one of the head writers, Kevin Burke. It was his birthday. So I got to present him the first slice of my apple pie for his birthday. That's right, Sabrina Petrie, although it's spelled, I think it's P-E-T-R-E, but I might be wrong. I know it's spelt in a sort of French sort of way. Pitre. Hey, you never know, Pink Ninja, if I happen to be at a local convention, anybody who would like to see me in the person, by all means, tell your local convention that you would like to have Deven Mack there. And hopefully that'll work out. Oh, snap, you'll be going to Sonic Expo 2025? Yo! Awesome, cool, very, very nice. I very much hope to see you there. It's not set in stone, of course. Not set in Agent Stone, who was at the one this year. But hopefully it can work out. It's not like there is not any interest that has been had by both sides. It's just got to be a matter of scheduling, and various logistic things have to be in place for it to work. But I would absolutely, absolutely love to go there. Let's see. And oh, also going back to Comic-Con, I was so sad that I did not know at the time just how close San Diego is to Tijuana, Mexico. Otherwise, I would have happily gone for a visit there. I would have found the time in my schedule to visit Tijuana. But hopefully they can get me back next year, because I know they were very happy with how things went. They seem to have a decent chance of doing another. So here's hoping, because I would love to go there. I would love to go there. I even had, I don't have the card with me right now, but there were some Sonic fans who were also Lego fans who had come from Tijuana, and they were just so sweet, so wholesome, and yeah, it was really, really cool. So yeah, I had no idea it was so close, and next time, baby. Rocky's gonna be very, very jealous. Maybe he'll try to sneak in my bag again. Who knows? It worked to get him to Vancouver, although he got very, very sick from hiding in my baggage in the cargo hold. Yo, Sids, thanks so much for dropping by. I'm glad you were able to make it. I guess I'm in the Q&A phase. I decided to go a little bit longer. But I hope that you are doing well. I hope you had yourself a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And I was definitely thinking of you as I was reading through these stories, because I'm just like the whole time, Sydney could do a way better Tales. Sydney could do a way better Tales than me. But always, always so happy to see you here. And as for those of you who do not know, Sydney is very, very talented singer, voice actress, on stage actress, And I have a feeling that she's gonna be going to some really, really good places in the future. So please keep an eye on her. That's a name you're gonna want to remember. And Samara, thank you so much for taking good care of Rocky as well. Although you think you might have spoiled him just a little bit, but he was very, very happy when he greeted me again. And a happy raccoon is a good raccoon in my life, a much less stressful raccoon in my life. And again, he's gonna get to share a chili pizza with me later, so hopefully things continue to stay that way. Please be sneaky, Rock. You know what? Maybe I'll see if I can work something out with him. I know how badly he would want to go there, so if I can do something to help him, I will. Just as long as I don't get in serious trouble with the customs, with the TSA agents who are like, are you bringing any foreign animals? Are you bringing any animals across the border? I'm just like, not that I know of. Do cartoon animals count as animals? I'll see what I can do. You know what? Oh, that shrink potion. You do have those powers. So that'll probably help. I'll be going. Went to Disney today. Nice. Dressed up all nice. Took lots of pictures. Very Christmassy vibe. Oh, I want to see Disneyland during Christmas so bad. In your case, Disney World. I'm glad that you had such a great time and that you enjoyed it enough to want to go back next week. Amazing. I'm so glad. I've been to Disneyland, the California one, once in my life, and it was very, very nice. It was very special, but I wanted the big castle. I wanted the super good castle, and I know that's what Florida's got. So someday, Florida, invite me out to your conventions, please. Please. Even Georgia will do. It's close enough. Let's see. Spoiled, I prefer the term well taken care of. I'm not gonna argue with that. To each their own. We all have varying perspectives, and both perspectives are very valid. I'm gonna check up on the YouTube. Do you think you'll be a part of more Sonic projects? Says Lego DJ Productions. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. It's a mystery to me. At the same time, there's amazing people working on the franchise right now. I am not in the business of taking anybody's role from them. So if they so desire for whatever reason to have me play a role I haven't played before, I am 100%, I'd be down for it. But I don't know what the future has in store. And if all I ever get to do in an official capacity is Sonic Prime, I'm more than happy with that, because it's something I never thought I'd have the opportunity to do in a million years. I'm looking, as far as things go for me, a lot of people don't know I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm at a point where I'm kind of looking to, okay, I think I'm sort of winding down. I'm literally, legitimately looking at things that way, that I'm on the tail end of my career and trying to slow down. But then Sonic came by and I'm like, time to speed up! And I guess a lot of stuff happened real fast, as tends to happen with blue hedgehogs. I do like chili dogs. I do indeed like chili dogs. Even before Sonic, I was a fan of them, before I had the role. But of course, it's because of Sonic that I learned of chili dogs. That's why anybody knows of chili dogs. What's your dream room like? Filled with raccoons. That's what I'm gonna go with. That's what I'm going with. I would also like to have a basketball net. I'd like to have an arcade system. With the Samurai Pizza Cats adjacent video game in it. Because, Samara, I don't know if you know this, there's actually an arcade game called Jitsu Squad that Raccoon almost streamed it, and maybe one day he will. They are coming out with a add-on new version that has the Pizza Cats in it. And I'm like, what? In 2024, we're getting new Pizza Cat content. How? But for now, it's only in arcades. I would like a home version. That would make me very, very happy. But yes, it is called Jitsu Squad featuring Samurai Pizza Cats. And I would like to have it without having to buy a whole arcade system. But if I have to, I will. That show is everything with me. Everything for me. I would not be in voice acting without these three stupid cats. These three wonderful stupid cats. They call themselves stupid. It's not just me. But yes, I'm happy still that there's more new content for them. Let's see. Okay, probably reaching that point where I'm gonna wind down with the stream. Jake Neutron performing at Nerdcore Party Con in July, which is basically a weekend-long concert with a bunch of Nerdcore artists. Just invited me to perform his set. Yo, big congratulations! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Go you! Toasty Marshmallow and Vito there too. This is great. Oh, this is great. I am very, very happy, and it's well deserved. Again, you are an amazing talent, and I am glad to hear of such great things in your future, and I look forward to more. Raccoons are my favorite animals. Yes, far and away. I very much, and again, it wasn't always that way. It wasn't until I started voicing for one, being asked to voice for one, that I started researching them, and I'm like, they're cool. They're like if you combine a cat with a monkey and put it in the forest, and they are like, they can solve puzzles, and they can open fridges, and they can open locks, and they're like, oh, they're so cool. They're so resilient. They're just awesome, and they're absolutely adorable. They look like little bandits with a thing going on. They're just great. They're just great. Do I hate tarantulas? I was not expected. They at least move very, very slow, that I'm not as bothered by them as I could be by other spiders that move very, very fast and are very, very small and could land on you and you wouldn't know. I don't like that. I really don't like that. So I don't particularly love spiders, but at least the tarantula, I would not want to be near it. But at the same time, I can easily keep an eye on where it is. It's not going to end up in my soup. I would definitely know if there was a tarantula in my soup. Unless it was a baby tarantula. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think about that anymore. We're not going to think about that anymore. Samurai Pizza Cat Story Game says, Samara, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. Yeah, I'm not sure how much of a story there is going to be in this new game, but it would be cool. I would love to see an RPG. I know there have been some fan-made RPGs. I know because I tried to make one 21 years ago. But it would be really, really cool to see something that's very story-based. Even if they could get as many of the actors back as possible, that would bring me a lot of joy. I guess we're gonna go for a 3-hour stream at this point, so let's go 5 hours more. We'll go 5 hours more. I'll see who else is streaming, and I'll look up who we can potentially raid. Do I know Mr. Beast? Not personally, I know of him. I would say probably the most popular YouTube streamer type personalities that I know to the point where I could say that I'm friends with them are Alejandro Saab, aka Kagi Films, aka Sayu, and as well as Germa. And me and Germa go way back. We go way back to 20 years ago. On the Newgrounds days, and Tomar is kind of up there as well. So yes, those are the most popular type people I know from that sort of realm. But KSI, Kais, and that I don't really know or watch them. And also Doom Dog, yo, if you wish to pursue writing, yo, more power to you. Definitely try to take in all of the if you can get in any writing classes or just study like books on what makes a really, really good arc. But yeah, a lot of people who start out as fans get into actually working on the things they want to work on. Ian Flynn being one of those people himself, and I would love to see the same happen for you someday. If someone who... No one should hate Tails. No one. How could anybody hate Tails? How could anybody hate Tails? Or I'll just use 9 for now. I know you're not Tails, and I will respect you in that regard. But he's such a good boy who deserves the very best. What Power Ranger series is my favorite series? I really enjoyed Power Rangers Zeo, but I haven't watched Power Rangers like properly since it first came out, and that was... Oh, I'm gonna make myself very sad. Last time I watched Power Rangers properly had to be about 29 years ago, so I don't have very strong memories of it. But I enjoyed Mighty Morphin a lot. That was the first one that was brought to the United States, the first one that was brought to North America. So I really liked Tommy. Green Ranger! Yeah, come on Rangers, let's go! Love Tommy, and I love Zach Taylor, the Black Ranger as well. So Green Ranger, Black Ranger, those are my guys. So I don't have super strong memories of any particular episode, but the whole Green Ranger arc I thought was really, really cool. Oh, and Alan, thank you so much for the sharing. Thank you so much for the booze. Something I just thought of, something worse than pineapple on pizza, anchovies on pizza. You know what? I'm not gonna make a thing out of it. I can see the appeal of both. At least anchovies are, to some, considered more traditional. Yeah, you know what? I've had this weird sort of back and forth thing of like, one day I hate pineapples on pizza, and then the next day I don't. I've much more so been consistently on the side of not enjoying them, but yo, it's all gravy as long as, you know, people can get certain things on certain sides of the pizza, and it's just you do you. You do you. Dracu Batty, thanks so much for dropping by. I'm glad that you had fun here. Hey, bats are actually very, very cool in their own right. And again, I'll be back here on Go Fast Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific, and that is when we will read the other 3 stories in this book. In the process of finishing my Super Sam Origins comic story, way to go! You have drawn so much really, really cool stuff, and I am very, very much looking forward to where that goes. Let's see. Maybe take a couple more question type, comment type things. What's your favorite color? I don't know if I have a favorite color. I have had favorite combinations of colors. I really like, I don't even know if silver would count as a color, but that was my favorite thing for a good long while. But I also really like black. I wore a lot of black growing up. And then my Beyblade character, Zeo Abyss, wore such crazy outfits that I'm like, I'm gonna wear more colors now. If we're talking like color, then it's probably most consistently been blue, which is, hey, kind of fitting. But I like combinations of things the most. I like black and gold. I like silver and blue. Those things going together work well with me. What's the worst commercial you remember? That's a very, very good question. I don't know if I have an immediate answer to it. So instead, I'm just gonna name some that are very, very silly and memorable to me. There's one that used to come on all the time really, really late, and it would have like a cat with just like a big, like really, really fluffy cat with an eye patch on, and it would say, and the voiceover would come over the cat and say, "Is your cat a pirate? Do you have to go digging for buried treasure every time your cat uses the litter box? Well then, buy this new automatic litter remover." No, what was it? It was some sort of like scoop thing. It's some sort of thing that makes the litter clump better. And I'm just like, this is so dumb. But I also love it. It's really dumb, but I love it. So that's not the worst. It's not. I can't think of a commercial immediately that I don't like, because the ones that I don't like I tend to forget. But that's one I really enjoyed. I'm also gonna share. Because I got really nostalgic recently because Katie Bear was talking about this. Caitlin Bairstow, very talented voice actress. She voiced Link in Cadence of Hyrule. She's had various roles in various things. She is also the partner of Ian Hanlon, who voices Shadow in Prime and Big. We were both reminiscing on some commercials that we grew up watching, and there's one that I really enjoyed that's like, it's filmed like a documentary, and it's like, the North American house hippo is one of the most fascinating species on the entire planet. It roams about homes daily, searching for loose crumbs and potato chips. It enjoys swimming around in kitchen sinks, and usually is very docile and approachable by humans, and something like that. And it's filmed in a way that actually makes it look very real, and then a voiceover comes on saying, that looked really real. But you know it couldn't be, right? That's why it's important to talk to your parents about the things you see on TV, so you aren't fooled by things like this. And I'm like, what a cool commercial, that was awesome. Also, Just Webs, thank you so much for the follow, very much appreciated. Thank you so much for dropping on by. For those of you who are wondering who Raccoon is as well, because I've been mentioning him quite a bit, that was him just dancing up there for a second, as kindly drawn by Terina4Games. Again, legal co-owner of my channel. There's nothing I can do about it, and he's going to be streaming here. I think he said he was going to be streaming here on Tuesday, but I think honestly he might still be in recovery mode from Toon School really taking it out on him. So he might be on Wednesday this upcoming week instead. But I think after that, he's gonna return to his normal Raccoon Tunes days of streaming. Let's see. Oh yes, very relevant with AI actually. Let me see if I can actually get that commercial to come up. Because I know I've been able to do this in the past. Okay, I think I might actually be able to get this to work. I want to play the House Hippo commercial because it is that good. It is so good that years later, if not decades later, they made another one. But the original is from the early 90s. Yes, I will play the House Hippo commercial. And then, you know what? Y'all might have started me down a rabbit hole. Y'all might have started down a hippo hole. I'm gonna play a few of those. And I know that copyright probably won't be a problem for me here. I hope not. I severely hope not. Okay, let's do this. Oh, this is gonna be so great. I was not expecting to bring this out today. Okay, please work. Yes, good, great. Oh, we are so back. I didn't think it would look like that. Okay, that's more like it. That's more like it. You get over there, and you get over there. This is the mood I'm in now. Okay, North American House Hippo. Let's go. Music stop. Audio on. I hope. Let's hear it. Nope, audio not on. Audio not on. Why is audio not on? Capture audio. There we go. There we go. Now it'll work. Now it'll hopefully work. Now it might not work. Now it doesn't work. Well, why did it do that? You silly little thing. Okay, I'm gonna use a workaround. I know what I need to do. Unhide all. Desktop audio play. All right, there we go. It'll work. Here we go.
It's nighttime in a kitchen just like yours. All is quiet. Or is it? The North American house hippo is found throughout Canada and the eastern United States. House hippos are very timid creatures and are rarely seen, but they will defend their territory if provoked. They come out at night to search for food, water, and materials for their nests. The favorite foods of the house hippo are chips, raisins, and the crumbs from peanut butter on toast. They build their nests in bedroom closets, using lost mittens, dryer lint, and bits of string. The nests have to be very soft and warm. House hippos sleep about 16 hours a day.
That looked really real, but you knew it couldn't be true, didn't you? That's why it's good to think about what you're watching on TV and ask questions, kind of like you just did. A message from Concerned Children's Advertisers.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. That was one of the commercials I grew up with. That came out in the early 90s, I want to say. And yes, so I was having a great time just reminiscing with Katie Bear about that. And you know what? I'm gonna share two more commercials from that era, from that very, very same company as well. I'm not getting a copyright claim. There's no. I'm not getting a copyright claim. It's way too old. It's way too old. But I'm gonna play two more. One that, well, you'll see. I believe this is, yes. Now I wish I knew who this woman was, because this woman seems so sweet, but I can't find out who she is, who drew the artwork for this, but it's very, very, once again, very, very wholesome and sweet. We used to get these commercials, these regular public service announcement sort of things that are meant to, like, educate and give positive messages. And yes, here is yet another one. Just going to set that up. Okay. Here we go. This one is called Storytime. Back on screen.
Hello, I have a lovely story to tell you all about a family of raccoons. One day they all went out to play in the sunshine, and baby raccoon saw some wild berries on a bush. But Mummy said, "Careful, baby, some berries are not for raccoons." Then he saw some big mushrooms growing by a tree. But Daddy said, "Careful, baby, some mushrooms are not for raccoons." And just like animals in the forest, you need to be careful too. Only take medicines or drugs if Mummy or Daddy says it's all right. And never take drugs from people you don't know. The next thing baby raccoon saw was a big apple tree. He asked his Mummy, "Can raccoons eat apples?" Mummy said, "Yes, baby, you can have an apple. Remember, children, some things are good for you and some things are bad." Baby raccoon says, "Be careful, children, and only touch things that are good for you." And mummies like me want you to be careful too. Bye-bye for now.
She whispers something at the end. She says, like, something, baby raccoon. This is sending me back, though. I am literally being transported back to my childhood just from watching these things. Hey, yo, Piper Sensei, thank you so much for dropping by. You had a very, very cool 2D style that I got to see very, very briefly. I had a thing going on at the time, but thank you so much for dropping by. I hope that it was a very, very lovely stream. I will try to catch your next one. And yeah, just kind of winding down here. I've reached the YouTube rabbit hole. Maestro Guy, thank you for dropping by as well. It is a pleasure to see you. I hope that both of y'all are doing well. Definitely kind of winding down here after doing the readings of the various spooky stories, even though it's not advertised as spooky. And it's definitely not 5 minutes. These stories take like 15 minutes to read. But they're still very, very wonderful. And yes, I'm going to be reading more again here next Go Fast Friday. I've got one more commercial that I'm going to play, one more PSA. In your off time, you need to see the PSA commercials that use cats as the premise. I like this. I am already conceptually a fan. I've got one more that I'm going to play here. And I don't have cats, but I have rats. Rats. They're the rats. Or mice. They could be mice. They could be rats. I'm not sure. I've never been great at telling the difference. Let's see. Make sure I get the right one. Yes, I does. Yes, I does get the right one. All right, put that in there. And no, that's not how I do it. That's not how I do it. Come on, buddy. That's not how you do it. Play the video of the PSA. There we go. There we go. All right. Bringing it on back. Here's going to be the last one. I didn't do it right. I didn't do it right. Let's try that again, and this time we'll do it right. Why didn't that work? That's weird. Okay. All right. I got it. I don't got it. Why don't I got it? Hello? Are we on the same page here? Now I got it. All right. Here we go. Last one. Okay. Cats acting over a car crash. Oh, what? What? Oh, that sounds horrible. That sounds extremely traumatizing. Hopefully it's not, but oh my.
Guess what?
What?
Can you keep a secret?
Maybe. What is it?
Come here. Look.
Wow!
See? Isn't it neat?
What is it?
I don't know, but I found it first, so it's mine.
What's that up there? Is that cheese?
Could be. It sure looks like something to eat, doesn't it? I wonder how this works.
Hey, don't touch it if you don't know what it is.
Why? What's wrong?
Well, I'm not sure. I just think that if we don't really know what it is, we shouldn't touch it. It might hurt us.
Well, then what should we do?
I know that some things are okay, and some things are not. And I think if we don't know, we should ask.
Ask who?
Somebody who knows about stuff like this.
Oh, you mean like Mom or Uncle Fred?
Yeah, or somebody else we trust. We don't have to be afraid, but we do have to be careful. Just because somebody leaves something lying around doesn't mean it's okay for us to play with.
Well, I found it, so I get to tell first.
Hey, wait for me. Race you home.
A message from Concerned Children's Advertisers.
So last night was the first time I'd seen that commercial in about like 20 years, if not more. And I still had the music and a lot of the quotes still ingrained in my brain. Even that part where he says, wow, and the music goes, oh, do, 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 do. Like all of that is in my brain. It never left. But yeah, we got a lot of cute, wholesome stuff as kids over here. And I'm enjoying. I could easily do this for several more hours, but I don't think I will. I don't think I will. I have a chili pizza to make before a certain raccoon gets very, very upset with me. But once again, thank you so much, everybody, for dropping on by. And even those who are not here for the story time, I am always, always grateful to see y'all around here. Deven reacting to quaint kid-friendly ads. You know what? I might just do that. That would be very, very much in line with my PG vibe. So maybe. It would be so weird to have a stream that I'm doing that is not directly Sonic adjacent. It's so rare that such a thing happens. Normally Rocky is the only one who gets to do that, so let's see if I can jump on that idea before he does. He's probably watching saying, "Where's my chili pizza? Where's my chili pizza, Delman? Make it now." We'll get there. Samara says, always remember to tell a fox, shut up, Tails. No, I can't. All foxes are so good. I've never met a fox that I didn't like. Maybe not Fox News. But other than that, I've never met a fox that I didn't like. There's so many wholesome, clever, cute, wonderful, funny foxes out there. But yeah, I'll remember that. I will remember that. I just won't do it. All right. So with all of that said, let's see who else is streaming that we can send things over to. And all of y'all who are there on the YouTube side, thank you so much for dropping on by. most of my Doomdog asking how old am I? I am 18. 18 going on 37. Let's see. What happened to Tales from Slime? That's a good question, and I'm not sure. Maybe it will be answered in one of the later stories. I'm perpetually 18. Definitely perpetually 18. The thing about me is, like, I don't drink, and that definitely helps, but I've been using the, like, oh, I'm not legal drinking age, that's why I don't drink. I've been using that on people that I've known for like 10 years, and they'll be like, ah, yes, of course. Wait a minute, were you 5 when I met you? And I'm like, yes, I was. I'm gonna get away with that for as long as I can. All right, so I'm immediately exposed anytime I'm around kids and they're speaking their new, skibbity riz, skibbity riz. They're speaking skibbity riz and I don't understand it. That's when I'm exposed. All right, skibbity riz in Ohio. Yeah. How does Ohio doesn't even mean Ohio now? I don't understand. Brain rot did this to us. Okay, who is streaming right now? Where can we go? Oh, well, I've got an idea. I've definitely got an idea. I've got a few ideas. I'm going to stay on the Sonic vibe, and we're gonna send a raid over to Midna, who is currently playing Sonic Adventure 2. Oh, there's so many cool people right now. I want to give a shout out to everybody. Oh my goodness. Okay, gonna just give a few different shout outs right now. Check out Shadow the Virtual, no, not Shadow, the better Hedgehog. Sonic the Virtual Tuber is currently streaming right now. And he is super wholesome, super fun. And he is also on YouTube. For those of you who are doing the YouTube thing, you could find him there. He is currently playing Sonic X Shadow Generations. I wish I could do multiple shout outs back to back. We also have Local Moss, who is just here, doing the art graphics, something that's looking very intricate. So, yo, shout out to you. Merchant Rocky Road, everybody started streaming right now. Rocky Roads, who is also just here. Wonderful old school style fox, who knows a lot of things about the RPGs. He is currently streaming Dragon Quest III Remake. And we have, I'm gonna send the raid over this time, although, so many decisions. I'm going to send this one over to Midna today, who is currently streaming Sonic Adventure 2. You're very welcome, Moss. All right, so why'd you all have to stream at once? Why couldn't you have just decided only one of you? Why can't it just be you? Oh, I will definitely. If this happens again, though, you are gonna be first up. You're gonna be getting that raid first. Sending the raid over to the very wholesome Midna TP. Very talented voice actress and writer in her own right. She is also, once again, do not trust that sneaky raccoon when he tries to insist that she is a bird. She is a Cloud Fox VTuber, Cloud Angel Fox VTuber, very wholesome style. And yes, I wonder if she's doing that S rank thing. If so, I worry for her well-being. Not gonna be me. All right, that is where we're headed. Thank you so much, everybody, for dropping on by. I will be back next Go Fast Friday, reading the remaining, I know how to words. I swear I know how to words. Reading the remaining 3 spooky stories that definitely don't take 5 minutes to tell, but it should be a fun one. That is going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 Pacific to be specific, on Go Fast Friday, right here, and also on the YouTubes. Until then, everybody, as I always say around here, oh, and I guess that raccoon's gonna be here on Wednesday, same time, 7 p.m., 4 p.m. Pacific. Until next time, as always, work hard, work smart, be good to others, and be good to yourself, because you deserve it. Bye-bye, and we are out of here.